crap now.
And that's how you see me.
Oh, that's so sad that I can't see you right now. Let me see. Okay. You got to go
Where's our
to YouTube here.
Where's our song? Here it is. Nope, that's not it.
That was a little romantic, though.
Oh yeah.
This is so relaxing here.
Welcome. Another day.
Damn mute button.
Brad Fulton and Jackson Robinson, 4 a.m. Central Time.
That's the best time to be awake, folks. It means you're alive.
Okay, let me figure out. Turn this. Wait, I gotta turn that. I gotta turn it down over here.
Alex, and everyone else, good morning.
I always
Can you hear me
forget
okay?
that you're on the same audio input as my music, so I have to turn the music down on the website, not my mixer. Because if I turn the music down, I turn you down on my mixer.
That would be so sad.
It would be
All
sad.
of my 2 fans in the world would be just so depressed.
Yeah. Let me see. There you are. Now I got us going. You just
Good.
Just make this smaller. Put you over here on the side.
Whoa, Jackson's got an Alamo haircut there. It looks like you're writing the Travis letter.
I'm writing the Travis letter.
I was telling somebody that you were related to Davy Crockett, and they said, "Has Jackson done a Davy Crockett deck?"
I have not, but
Now,
I could totally do one now because I'm from Texas and now live in Tennessee. I mean, that's like the Davy Crockett matchup.
Well, absolutely. But more important than that, I can help you get the rights to those.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to go down to the Alamo and negotiate for you. There.
I've got a buddy that. Oh, and sorry, I didn't put the super low delay on. So, I've got a buddy that I was friends with in Austin. That his granddad. It's funny enough, his granddad lives somewhere in New Jersey or something. But his granddad is this fanatic Alamo history fan, and he's also one of those diorama model makers.
Oh, wow.
And he's the guy that made all the diorama models that are in the Alamo.
But he's he's in New Jersey. That's like those old Pace Picante commercials.
I know. It's just the way it is. He loves the Alamo, and
probably more than most Texans.
Yeah, he probably actually knows more about the Alamo than most Texans. And every time he talks to me, that he's like, "Hey, are you ever gonna make an Alamo deck?"
Oh man, I would be in on that every minute of my life. I love the Alamo.
I'm trying to think. I had some ideas for an Alamo deck. I was gonna do because the front of the Alamo, the mission is so iconic. I was gonna do a die cut, somehow do a tuck case that had these little wings that opened up and flapped up, to where
cool.
it made that shape of the Alamo.
Well, you know what? There was a Texas photographer who did a study across Texas of how often the Alamo shape, the 3 kind of, or the curves pop up over architecture in Texas. So he was showing little movie theaters in the middle of West Texas will have the Alamo facade.
Yep. Remember it, dude. Remember the Alamo.
Well, I also remember Goliad. I mean, that was a tough one.
Yes. Yeah, the Texas didn't fare too well in either one of those.
You can say that in Tennessee now.
I did, but I could say that when I was in Texas. We didn't fare too well, but we sure did kick some, we kicked some A.
Well, it's true, because it kind of set the tone for the spirit of Texas, that even if you were going to go down with the bad property taxes, you could still fight.
Yeah, well, just Austin property taxes.
That's true. Well, all the big cities, they need that cash. Politicians need money.
They do. All right, so we're just going to, you and I, here's the good thing. The guests that I had living downstairs with me down here, they know they're out. They're no longer here. So I can be as loud and obnoxious as I want to be.
Oh, this is great. And you have coffee, it seems, too.
I have coffee. I can be loud and obnoxious. I can have the lights on. So this is my space again. And I can. This
is so good.
I can be yakety yak. And so we're just going to talk and tell stories like we always do. And I'm just gonna trudge through this card right here and finish it, because we got lots of detail we got to put on this to make it finished, and it's gonna look awesome.
Absolutely. And I don't know, we're just about the finish line there.
We are. I just got to put all the details, because the details are what makes the picture pop at the end.
Absolutely right. Well, that's true. I think you would know.
Yes. So I didn't know anything about this photo deck that you were releasing that I keep seeing you know, chit-chatting about on the old Instagrams. What's going on with that?
Well, Fulton Hall. So this deck was originally planned in like 2014. It was that was like an inside joke between Dan Buck and I, when he was like, he wanted to make an app on the iPhone when it was new called Fulton Eyes. And you could high contrast black and white your photos with a filter, you know, before Instagram was
and make them like film grainy a little bit.
Yes,
I like it.
And I use a film processor called Rodinal. So I said, well, you have to process your photos with Fultonal.
Fultonal definitely sounds like some kind of like photo processing chemical.
Oh, dude, or like an embalming fluid would be like Fultonal.
Yeah. Today in biology class, we're gonna dissect earthworms, and just make sure you pour out all the Fultonal before you get the worm on you.
Or pour out the Fultasol, and then we're going to process the film with Fultonal.
And it definitely would be something that would have that California, you know, known in the state of California to cause cancer on it.
Dude, listen to this. So like Zapp's potato chips, like voodoo chips.
Yeah.
I love Zapp's. So
they're very good.
I saw this bag here in Texas, and it says not for sale in California. So I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, why not for sale in California? I mean, they sell marijuana. I mean, why can't I buy potato chips there?
Yeah.
And so they were forcing Zapp's to put a possible cancer warning on potato chips when there's no study that really proves it. So Zapp's said, screw that, we're going to pull out of the market.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so back to the Fultonal thing. So we were compiling it, and then Dan Buck was saying, he said, hey, if we should get 52 images together, and it would be the first photography exhibit book in a deck of playing cards. And I said, wow, that's amazing. So we started like going through these photo files and this, and I was just, you know me, Jackson, you're going to make fun of me. I was just never happy.
Yep, you were striving for perfection.
So here I am, always waiting for someone else. And 6 years later, I finally had enough images that I loved, and we compiled the deck, and that's it.
That's awesome. And the Buck twins made it for you?
Well, my images made it, but yes, Dan and I made it. Dude, the back design we like refined over the years, but you're gonna just pull your hair out here. You have hair to pull out. I don't.
I don't know if I've seen the back design from it yet.
Dude, it's like, I mean, I got to do a video where like we actually printed a dummy deck with USPCC in 2014, like with the jumbo faces.
Oh my gosh, dude, you gotta.
You know how they do that, like the dummy ones? They would use like the jumbo deck.
Yeah.
I have it at my house somewhere. I'll pull it out and show the original versus that over 6 years.
Wow.
Someone like you will look at it and be like, man, you should have just put it out 6 years ago and moved on.
Should have, because you could have put out. That's not even nice to say it. Could have released like 6 more photo decks.
It's very true. It's absolutely true. You
know
what,
Jackson,
I have to air my laundry here. I have been so inspired and learned so much from doing all of these things with you.
Well, that's great. I'm excited about that. You know what? I've been thinking about that. Just my outlook when I talk to people about stuff like this. And you know what? It's kind of a thing. Like I want to stop being so negative about. I don't think I'm that negative, but
no, you're not negative.
I want to stop being, I don't want to stop. I want to be less negative about it, about people's. I don't even know what I'm thinking, dude. I want people to be. I want people to succeed. You know, dude. Because it's better for everybody.
It's interesting talking to you as someone who's been doing this forever, and just like I'm always someone who will take a good idea. I will never take a bad idea, but I will always take a good idea. Yeah. And when you've said a few things that have really inspired me, like, I mean, I've really like changed my schedule where I am waking up at basically 4 o'clock every day and hitting Illustrator, and I have so much work completed this last year.
Dude,
it scares me.
That's awesome. Like, I think it's something like, I read somewhere that if you if you spend an extra hour, I think it's an hour or 2 hours. Like if you wake up 2 hours earlier or you stay up 2 hours late and work on something that, you work on something. By the end of the year, you'll have achieved an extra month of work at the end of the year. A month straight worth of work. And that's a lot.
I heard this psychologist one time say, I think it was Jordan Peterson. I think YouTube suggested this video to me. It was about inspiration for work, etc. And he said, just one time in your life, give everything you have to one goal. Every single thing you have for one goal, and just see how it turns out for you.
Yeah. Yep.
It's true. It's like when you were saying to me, like we talked on the phone like a year ago, and I said, how do you have any time? You're working all the time. And you said, I don't work that much. I just work real early in the morning and the rest of the day don't do much. And then you, like, art-wise, of course you do operational stuff, but then you've talked about how the beginning of Dawn's Early Light was you saying, well, what if I do more?
Yeah. Like when I look, like if I looked at my schedule, even now, if I looked at my schedule, I don't really draw that much. I mean, I just draw, there'll be spurts where I draw a lot, but mainly just this, from now and, from like 5 o'clock until like 8 o'clock is the only time that I really draw. And, and I totally know that I could work a lot more and produce a lot more. But at the same time, I'm trying to, and trying to grow a business and all this other flim flam that goes with it. But
you're trying to get a beef room is what you're trying to do.
I am trying to get a beef room. But
how's the beef room going, by the way? I think about it often.
It's going okay. We're still trying to line out the financing for the building. I've got the land. I bought the land. It's just we're trying to get the financing for it. It's funny how banks, when I talk to banks and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm a playing card company, and they're like, yeah, you what? you're what?
Yeah, I know. Oh, I have neighbors, dude. Trust me, I know this. I know this conversation.
But, so, and also, we've grown so much. We're growing so much that, a lot of our capital goes right back into our company. Whether it's like, because we've grown so much, I've hired a lot more people, and so a lot of our capital has gone back into either like personnel expenses for like salaries or equipment and new machines.
Oh, absolutely.
We get our new cellophane machine like imminently, dude. I'm so pumped. It's been such a long process to order this thing. But
yeah, now good luck getting a cellophane for it.
Well, the good thing is I bought an entire pallet full of cellophane with the machine.
You know what you remind me of? You remind me of someone who, if you were trapped in the Alamo, you'd at least have a lot of ammo.
Well, the funny thing is I don't have much ammo. I don't have that much ammo, actually.
I never understood reinvesting in companies until 2013 or something. Like me, Dan, and Dave were hanging out, and I said, dude, did you kill it last year or what? Did you make like $1 million? And he's like, no, I made like $31,000. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, it all went back into cost.
Yep. I mean, I think that, I think at least, let me think about it. I would say probably 50, 60, 70, not more than that. Like 80%, not 80%. I can't, a lot. Way more than half of all of our revenue goes back into just production costs. And that's mainly just because we produce so many decks of cards that we just have tons of production costs. And also because we're making like an actual, physical good. So it's not like we're making like digital downloads or whatever.
Oh, I know. That would be just, but Dan Buck one time, he said something about you. He said, Jackson's really got this game won because the single most expensive, aspect of playing card production is art costs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally know that.
It's I don't know. But then again, you have to pay yourself.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I love that Eric Church ampersand deck, by the way. I mean, I've told you that on the phone, but I really look at it and I was like, what the hell is that when I first saw it?
Wow, that's crazy. It is crazy.
I would have never known that was for like a country singer when I saw the box.
Yeah, well, that's the only way I did that job was if they let me, if they let me do it my style. But the good thing is that's why they contacted me, because they wanted me to do it in my style. Because I've done a few commission decks, and I've started the process of doing more commission decks than what we've released, but more times than not, I get uninspired by it, and I've learned that I don't take many of those jobs. I mean, from a time standpoint, of like I should be drawing my own cards because I could, it's more profitable for me to draw my own playing card ideas than somebody else's.
Absolutely.
But most of the time, it's like if I can't stay inspired by it, then I get really grumpy about the project, and I don't want to be grumpy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like Massimo Vignelli, his graphic designer who did like all the subway maps in the 70s for New York, etc. He was one time saying that no matter what the price you're being paid, a horrible client is not worth anything.
Yep.
And he was saying that, he would go into a meeting and he would see how much he wanted his style, how collaborative you were. Mm-hmm. And no matter if you were offering him, $100K back then or whatever, he would walk.
Yeah.
It's true, because you're going to produce bad work and then your reputation is going to be, oh, he was difficult or the project sucks.
Yeah. And I know if there's anything that I hate, like, yes, I absolutely believe that an artist shouldn't strive for perfection at all. But at the same time, I also abhor in myself when I kind of, kind of half-ass it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, I do.
And there's been times and there's been decks that I've designed and released that I think that I've done that, and I think that it shows.
Well, when you're as productive as you are, you're bound to have some things that you're going to look at and just think, what was I thinking? I mean, it's just, Martin Scorsese had the best quote about it, where he said, I don't watch my old films because I either go back and think, wow, he was such a genius at 30, or what the hell was I thinking? That's the dumbest thing I've ever looked at.
Yeah, and that's
the thing. He
said,
according to him, he was screwed either way.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about, I've gotten less. I mean, I think in the beginning of my playing card career, I was more susceptible. My skin was much thinner and susceptible to, like the comments of the playing card community, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny how, like, if I didn't have a deck that wasn't received as well, or maybe it wasn't my favorite deck, they would all be like, oh, this is it for Jackson and his time's over.
Well, you know what? I've heard that for like 15 years. I mean, I used to hear that about Dan and Dave, like, oh my God, a Smoke and Mirrors V3. This is trash. This will never be, no one will ever buy it.
And like,
it's trash. These guys are such sellouts. And I hate when they say we found more in the warehouse. They're obviously hoarding to mark up later. These guys are scum.
I love the old found more in the warehouse sale.
You know what's so funny is that Dan and Dave, literally, we went to the warehouse and Dan's like, what's in that box? And he looked and there was a bunch of V6 Smoke and Mirrors. Like, I was there. And then I used to like deal with the comments, and it was all like, you guys are liars. You withheld that stuff. It was just hilarious.
You'd be amazed. And like some of the people, like some of the DEO crew that that have actually come by the office, like I'll give them like a little tour, and like just this past week we found something, because so much of this stuff is like unlabeled in a box. I'm trying to remember what it was I'm trying to remember what it was that we found. We found like what was it? It was a gilded deck of some sort, but we found like 78 of something that we hadn't released I mean, like one of the big releases that we're releasing for the holidays this year is basically one of those things. Like we were looking around the office and we found like 140 gilded legal tender decks that we hadn't released.
Your career's over. You're lying to the public.
I'm lying to the public.
It's like I was looking through a box the other day and I saw something that says to Fulton, God bless. And I'm like, oh, what the hell's this? Like, I thought this was a box of October V1s, and I open it up and it's like, you know, David Blaine had given me like these split spades, or, you know, years ago when I was at his house. And I was like, I swear to God, I did not remember ever even getting that.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what year is that from? I had to like look it up. Like, what year was I there? What year was that? Like, just as time goes on, even as good as your memory can be, you don't remember things. But you know what? I guarantee you that all those other polls weren't there. I think we should leave all that off.
Yeah, I'm just leaving this one kind of cast iron light stand.
Oh, no, that was there.
Yeah, that's the only one I'm leaving. I'm not leaving any of this other stuff.
I love when you go to like, even in Anaheim, California, when you turn around like a block and you see those old light poles from like the 1930s or 20s, and it's amazing.
I see one right here that I'll put in there. I'm just going to put this tree in here and a little bit of this, just a little bit of a hint of this other building, just to give it some, as it fades off.
Can you put like a whole row of tents on the sidewalk there so it's more accurate for now?
Yeah.
Maybe urine.
some bum hand.
You know what, dude? Like I went to I was around this location before I moved like 2 years ago, and it was just so funny. Like my kids are always the litmus test of like where you're going. My kids look to me and they're like, Dad, why are we here?
Yeah. I remember.
It's like when we went to New Orleans recently, my daughter looked at me and she's like, Daddy, why did you take us here?
I remember one time, it's like, I feel like that I've seen it in like a scene of a movie before, but I remember one time we were on vacation. I think we were in Los Angeles, and I was like 7 years old. And we had, when I was a kid, we used to drive everywhere. And so we make these long road trips from Texas to Los Angeles. Because we had family that lived in Mission Viejo at the time. And, I distinctly remember like we like take a wrong turn, and I remember my dad, because we didn't have like power door locks on the car that we were on, and I remember my dad, all right, everybody lock your doors. And we all had to lean over and like lock our doors.
And there was no carjacking?
Yeah, there's no carjacking.
I remember a neighbor of mine when I was a kid, he's like, yeah, we went to a Lakers game. And, you know, like, I was like, oh, how was it? And he's like, I don't know. We were at a stop sign and my dad made us lock the doors because some guy started approaching, and it was super scary. This was like the heyday of that whole Bloods and Crips kind of thing, like back in 89 or 90, maybe.
Yep.
Like, remember the starter jackets and the Eazy-E and Raiders jackets?
Give me some starter jackets. I had a starter jacket. I remember my brother and I got a starter jacket for Christmas with a little dangly.
What did you get? What team?
We got, I think I got the University of Texas, and my brother got Texas Tech. Either that.
Are you kidding? You had university starter jackets?
Yeah. It was either University of Texas. Yeah, I think it was the University of Texas. And for some reason when I was a kid, let me get this music going again. For some reason when I was a kid, and I didn't know anything about it, it was more of just like, I liked the colors and the logo. When I was a kid, I used to love the Miami Dolphins.
Dan Marino.
I liked them just because for some reason I liked that teal color on their, that teal and orange on their logos.
Oh, it's iconic.
Yeah.
Well, it's like this. Okay, so Kevin here is saying he had a White Sox starter jacket. The funny thing is that in like Los Angeles, after Eazy-E and Dr. Dre, they started wearing the White Sox stuff when they changed their uniform colors to like black and white.
Yep.
And like, you know, no one from LA had an association with Chicago, but they started wearing that Sox stuff just because of the logo. And then you started seeing all these dudes in Compton, like when we would go through there, would have White Sox gear on.
Yep. I remember that because they were like
power of logo.
It was like it's like a blue. It was like a blue. Wasn't it red, white, and blue? And it had like socks on it on the hat or something before they changed it.
Yeah, I think it was like a reddish orange, maybe like a warm red.
Yeah.
Blue and white. The socks. It's so funny, dude. It's so funny how you look back at that era and those things were so iconic. I never had a starter's jacket. I did have like a puffy gold, like, no, I had a satin Dodgers jacket.
Ooh, satin Dodgers jacket.
Those were so cool.
I remember I liked the White Sox only because when Bo Jackson went from the Royals to the Sox, that's when I liked the White Sox because Bo Jackson was my boy, man.
Same here.
I was a diehard Bo Jackson fan.
Yeah, I still am. I love Bo Jackson. Bo's an Alabama guy.
Yep.
Now, what do you think of Alabama? I recently watched a movie actually called Jasper Mall. Have you heard of this?
Huh? You mean like as in what I think about as the state or something?
Well, yeah, because I love like malls. I love dead malls. So like I saw this documentary about the small town called Jasper, which is outside of where your brother lives in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And it's just about like, it's a year in the life of this kind of dying mall in a small community and what goes on there. So I was just wondering what you thought of Alabama, or if you've been to Jasper.
I haven't been to Jasper. Really the only time that I go to Alabama is to see my brother or go to Birmingham. I considered moving there when we were kind of like deciding where we wanted to go. Because my brother and I have always talked about kind of going into business together. But I ended up going to Chattanooga, so here I am. But I've
never been to Alabama, but I've seen pictures of this place called Weiss Lake that looks unbelievable.
Oh, dude, it's interesting that you say that. Weiss Lake is like between my brother and I. And so that's actually where, because my parents just sold their house in Canyon, Texas. Like the house, it was actually my grandmother's house, but basically our family house that we grew up in Canyon. Because after my grandmother passed away, they moved into this my grandmother's house, but they sold my grandmother's house and they moved. Now they live with my brother for right now, but we're actually, Weiss Lake is like one of the places that we're thinking about trying to find a place for them because it's in between my brother and I, and it's a nice place, like a nice recreational place where.
Oh, it looks unbelievable. I literally watched videos of the place. The fishing is awesome. The people seem really cool.
Yeah. And it's funny to say that because that's the place that we're looking at for my parents.
Is it expensive?
I mean, it's not as expensive as like if in the city, but it is a lake community. So you're going to have a premium just because it's a lake community.
But what would like a house cost in Weiss? I didn't know it's Weiss Lake. I just look at it and say Weiss Lake.
It's the German. It's I would say that it's probably pretty comparable to some of the suburbs of Austin. So like a 4 bedroom is going to be like, it's like 2,000 square feet, like $350,000.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but Alabama's got like no property tax.
They do not have property tax, but they do have state income tax.
They do have property tax, but I think it's like 0.4 or 5. I think
it's pretty
one of the
good.
lowest in the country.
But they do have state income tax. But it kind of cancels itself
Probably
out.
Real low state income tax, and when you retire, who cares?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the percentage rate is on their income tax.
I was talking to a guy from Oklahoma yesterday, and he has a house in Austin, and he was saying, well, the whole no state tax thing's a bunch of nonsense because we had state tax in Oklahoma, but I don't remember paying anything out of my paycheck, but I do know I pay $1,000 a month property tax.
Yeah, dude. Ugh. Property tax, man.
It drives me nuts. It's really like a sore spot to me. Like if you just look at any like mortgage calculator and you're like, okay, so you could afford blank here, but then here you can only get this, and it's just all going out your behind.
Yep.
My wife said, look at the percentage of it. It's a second mortgage.
Yeah. Yep.
You could gild how many decks for what you paid in tax?
Could gild so many decks. And you know how much more money I could make off of gilded decks than I could off of my property, saving my property tax?
I know. You could even do a whole nother 6'5" deck.
I know.
Now, when your brother shrinks due to aging, are you going to change it to like 6'4.5"?
Yes, 6'4.5". Yep.
Because someone was asking me how tall I was, and so I measured myself in the morning, like, because the NBA guys always say that they need to be measured for the draft the second they wake up, so they have the doctor come as soon as they step out of the bed.
Yeah, you're the tallest.
And I'm like, does it really make that much of a difference? Because, spinal compression and cartilage compression due to weight and height. So like in the morning, I was 6'5.22" or something. And then by night, I was 6'4.5". So I had lost like 0.7 inches.
Goodness gracious.
So I think your brother, we need to measure him and see if that deck is accurate. We're sticklers for perfectionism here at Kings Wild.
Absolutely. And if he's a different price, it would just give a different height. It would just give us an excuse to make a different edition. This is the 6'3 3/4" deck. We found them in the warehouse. We found these in the warehouse.
What about a waist? Yeah, we did. Well, what we found in the warehouse was a waist size deck. It was like a size 38.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we'll have him lose weight over the course of a year, and then we'll just make a size 36. That was like, there was that Stephen King novel called Thinner, about like, I think it was about like an obese man who made a deal with the devil to like lose weight. Maybe that was it. I don't remember, but I remember the idea was to make a movie of it and get John Candy when he was still alive, and then he would lose weight over the course of a year and a half filming the movie.
Doesn't in the story he just keeps getting hungrier and hungrier?
I don't remember. Did you read it?
It sounds really familiar. Dude.
Thinner.
Speaking of reading, I found, and I'm sure there's people that have already heard of this, but I found a app / like Google Chrome plugin that's amazing. It's called Speechify, and it basically I can take any web page, and let me see if I can, I'll give you an example. Let's see. What's your Candyman guy's name? What's his name?
Oh, Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
TODD.
It's like I can go to
Tony Tyron Todd.
I'll go to let's say Wikipedia for Tony Todd. Let's see if this works. Where's the app thing?
Oh, I'm sure he loves that his height comes up there.
So here's Tony Todd, and here's the app over here. Do you see it? Well, you can't see
where you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
And so I'll turn this down. So it takes anything, because I'm a horrible reader, and I'm a very slow reader, but I can take any website and hit listen, and it will read it to me. Let's see if it works.
Tony Todd, born December 4th, 1954.
Then I can turn
actor,
the speed up.
Producer, and voice actor who made his debut as Sergeant Warren in the film Platoon 1986 and portrayed
I can
Turner in
change
the
the
television
voice.
series Star Trek.
Like
The Next Generation,
Wow.
1990 to 1991, and Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, 1996. He achieved stardom for his roles as the
That
titular
voice
character in the
sounds so
Candyman
much
film
more,
series, 1992 to 1999, and William Bloodworth in
Yeah.
the Final Destination franchise, 2000 to 2011. He also starred as Dan and the Man from Earth, 2007, and voiced the Fallen in Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, 2009.
So I was messing around with it. I've been messing around the past couple of days, and like, I love audiobooks, and if I'm listening to it, I'm also reading it, and so I found that, and it has this little blue thing that popped up over here. It can
He
just
also
read
widely
like a
remembered
section.
by fans of horror as the actor who portrayed Ben in the 1990 remake. Todd was born in Washington, D.C., and grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, attending local school.
And you can do that with anything.
Yeah.
Emails.
Does Google make that app?
No, it's just called Speechify. And so you can do this with anything. Like I can read emails. I can like take a picture of something and send it in, and it'll process it. I even did it with like the book, the fantasy book that I'm writing. Like I just went just to see how well.
Wait. You're writing a fantasy book now?
You didn't know about that?
No, I just know about like different books you've talked to me about that weren't fantasy or like fiction books.
No, I've been writing a fantasy book for like 12, 13 years.
You've never told me that in your life.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fascinating.
So like I took one of the chapters of my book just to see how it worked, and like it totally reads it for me. Like it's an audiobook. Let's see here.
Way of Hammer and Steel manuscript. Chapter 1. Demora of the Wood. The blanket of night pulled its blackness snugly over the thatched rooftops of the small village. The starlight from the heavens flickered through the thin veil of smoke that rose slowly from the chimneys of the inhabitants' dwellings. Fireflies of burning embers danced with their partner the
But I can't get enough of it, dude. Like I'm like it's making it to where I can just like plow through stuff like books and but I'm getting like twice the comprehension because you learn way better when you see it and you hear it, and the audio of it and that little blue thing, and the fact that it's going for you, it sets the pace, and I can set the pace to go faster. And my biggest problem with reading is because I have such a hard time with it, I get distracted as I'm reading. And so a lot of my reading is very sporadic, like it's just like there's no cadence to it. But with that app, I just plow through it, and it makes my comprehension way better. And it just makes.
But what's interesting is if you're writing a book and then you can have the app read it to you, what you think of your writing changes. It was like when I used to make a lot of like films and stuff, and then you would screen it. Like you would think it was the most amazing thing ever, and then there's like a third element that happens when you screen it. And you just feel the audience, and you're like, oh man, that doesn't work. It's terrible.
And
I'm
you
not
see
saying that about your book. I'm saying that about when I would make films.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
It was always terrible.
Mm-hmm. And like, because like, I guess the way my brain works is I can write and type. So like if I'm writing and typing, I can write and type faster than if I was reading somebody else's copy. So so I can write and type faster than I can read, and so it helps me even read my own stuff faster once I'm going back to like check it and stuff. But it's really cool. You should check it out. It's awesome. Speechify.
What do you think your reading deal is? Is it dyslexia?
Yeah, I'm totally dyslexic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was dyslexic. I mean, I remember in in elementary school that they pulled me out of like grammar, and that's why I can't spell now, is because during the formative years of my education, they would pull me out of like English grammar and spelling, and I would go to like phonics class, which totally wrecked, which they didn't know now, but they totally wrecked my future, because now I spell everything phonetically, and I'm a horrible speller, and I can't really read very well. But
yeah, but here you are writing a book and designing a bunch of cards and having a life.
Yeah, I got a life.
It's amazing. It's amazing that you're writing a book though, but then you're talking about that you have issues with grammar and etc.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely my writing has to be edited. Let's just say that.
Does your wife edit it?
No, my wife, no, she doesn't edit it. She just it's kind of like playing cards. She just kind of lets me. She's very supportive, but she kind of, it's not that she's a breath to it, but she just kind of stays out of it. She just lets me do my thing.
Yeah, I have a love-hate with it, as you know. Like the other day I was like working on this deck, and I had this amazing idea, and I ran it by my wife, and she looked at me and she said, that would be the dumbest card in the history of man. For a Joker card, I had this idea to fit in with the deck, and I'm like, yeah, well, it fits. And she's like, yeah, you always like these little details that only you know or care about, but in the grand scheme of things, in a deck, opening it up, that's disappointing. And like my first instinct is to be defensive, like, maybe you just don't understand it. And then I go and sit in my office, and I'm like, she's right.
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every dime that I said that about my wife, man, she's right.
Yep. It's begrudgingly true.
I would own 7 King's Wilds if I had that.
Yeah, I know. And it's a hard pill to swallow. But then again, like now I'm just starting to say like, okay, what should I do? And then like I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, that's right. Alfred Hitchcock, he would do a first cut screening to his wife, who was a film editor, in the UK before, they even met. And she would look at it and she'd be like, what are you doing putting that scene in? It's stupid. Cut this down and this. And then they said he would just say to the editor, cut it. Wherever she says, cut it. And then anyone else that would say it, he'd be like, get lost.
Yeah.
But anything that Alma, his wife, said would just go right away. looking great.
All right. Now we got to put some value in
We got to have like a real dark door, like a door has to be closed, and there has to be just no sign of anything.
Or a be back later sign.
Yeah, be back never. There was a steakhouse called Morton's Steakhouse. I know it's like a massive chain, and like the food sucks. Actually, I mean, you would eat it as a steak master and be like, this is ridiculous. But I grew up near this Morton's in Santa Ana, California, and there was it was always so awesome. They just had these dark wooden doors and just this lights hanging right above, like under the awning.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like you always wondered what was in there.
Yeah.
And then like they remodeled it in the last like 5 years and made it all accessible and lit up and put stucco on the outside. And I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
It's like, just the way corporations work. It's like some CEO guy just gets some idea and then they don't understand aesthetics and they just do it. Did you go on a vacation to Pigeon Forge, Jackson?
Yeah, we went to Pigeon Forge this past week for 2 or 3 days.
Did you do any of those dinner theater things?
Bro, we went to a dinner theater. It was amazing.
What was it?
It was one of Dolly Parton's owned shows, but it was like called Pirate's Voyage.
Oh, cool.
Bro, I'm a sucker for dinner theater shows. We did it like the last day as we were leaving, and now that I've done it, we're gonna do more when we go back because we really it was. Now, granted, there were a ton of people there, but we had a blast.
Was the food okay though?
Oh yeah, the food was great every time we ate, and we found this Airbnb that was outside of town, about 30 minutes. It was a little bit far. It's probably farther than I would like, but I think the fact that it was far out of town was the good thing about it. And it was on a river, and so, like literally, the river was right under our porch, and so we would go and play in the river with the girls. We'd go play in the river every day that we were there. Let's see. We had a good time.
I've only been to a dinner theater once, and the food was the one that's in the Cable Guy that Jim Carrey goes to, Medieval Times.
Yeah, Medieval Times.
Dude, this chicken was so bad that they should have just bought it from Costco. It was the worst food I have ever had in my life. It's memorable, worst food, but the show was cool.
Yeah, we had fried chicken, and it was actually really good.
That's good.
It was really good. I was going to show you a picture of it.
I love Dolly Parton.
Yeah. I want to do a
And
Dolly
I was
Parton
so bummed
deck.
out because in an earlier one, you told me about the reading program thing she had, and then I put in my zip code, and they do not participate in my area.
In Austin, they don't?
Well, not in Williamson County or Cedar Park, and I put in other ones, and there was nothing around here. It bummed me out.
That's weird because they're like in like 150 countries.
Well, yeah, it's more important to, teach someone in Prague to read than some kid in Cedar Park, I guess.
Here it is. Here's the place that we stayed.
Pigeon Forge looks beautiful.
Look at that. Here's the cabin. And then the river's just right here.
Whoa,
yeah.
That is beautiful. Oh my goodness.
It was really nice. It was really nice.
So isn't it silent when you wake up?
No, you hear the river, dude, because it's like
No,
rapids.
I know, but like nature, like you're not hearing any cars or stuff like that.
Well, this was right on kind of a road, but it was it wasn't like a busy road, but it was very quiet.
I love that look. I love that hearth.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was a good time. We had a really good time.
Is it expensive to stay in a place like that?
No, let me see what this one is. It wasn't that expensive compared to what some other places like this. It's $250 a night. I mean, for like a once, twice a year type vacation, that's not too expensive, I don't think. And I think ours, when we did it, was even cheaper than that, just because it may have been a slower season.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, like if you want to stay downtown San Antonio, speaking of the Alamo,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's going to run you $170, $180 for a crappy Holiday Inn and then $30 to park.
Yep.
Did you enjoy San Antonio? Did you ever stay there?
I liked San Antonio. I did like San Antonio. For some reason, I always thought San Antonio was too hot, but like,
Oh,
Austin,
really?
But Austin was just as hot. I didn't really go to
That's
San
funny.
Antonio
That's
that
totally
much.
perception.
I didn't go to San Antonio that much.
Well, you had a great location too. You were like way close. I mean, we go all the time. I don't know. For some reason, I really love San Antonio. I don't know what it is, but I love that Pearl Brewery.
Yeah, it's good. The main thing, honestly, dude, we didn't really go anywhere. We're homebodies, and we kind of stayed home a lot.
But you know what? Like 2 years ago when I was talking to you about this and you told me, I said, how often do you go to like downtown Austin? You're like, I don't know, once a year. And I thought, he's crazy. And then now that I live close to it, I'm like, yeah, I go twice a year.
Oh, we never, like, I would never go just to go. I'm gonna put some blinds in these windows. How's that sound?
Yeah, dude, that's some film noir action there.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I just go to downtown Austin. Like when we have a friend come in or something, like they usually want to go to like a bar, like Whistler or something. And I don't really like drinking at bars, and so I just go and I don't know. I don't enjoy it. And Austin's a beautiful downtown. Like when you're driving in and you see like, the river and you see the buildings, it's beautiful.
Yep.
Do I go? No, not really. Look at that masking ability.
Yeah.
Do you ever like walk around in real life and then like, you're so used to being in Illustrator or Photoshop, you think about like, man, I'd like to mask that off so I could see that better.
Oh yeah.
Like you're at a store.
You'd be amazed at like, I do this a lot more than you would think, but I try to control Z stuff in life.
Oh yeah.
Like if I'm if I'm writing on a paper, like if I'm writing something or like filling out a form and I screw up, like I instinctively like want to go Control Z.
Oh, that's funny, dude. One time with me, I was like looking at a magazine. I swear to God, I was looking at a magazine and I like put my fingers up to pinch because I wanted to see more detail on like this shoe or something. Yep, and I'm like, man, you're stupid.
You're stupid, man.
Man, you're just a stupid guy, you guy that I live inside of.
It's like being John Malkovich.
Yeah, you are a dumb human. Look at you. Look at those long fingers trying to zoom a page. So, hey, what happened with your deck championship? How many people won?
Well, the funny thing is...
That was so gripping, dude. Like, every day I would look and I would vote. And I was always the minority voter, always. And that's like, Dan Buck always said to me, he's like, uh-oh, if Brad likes it, that's a bad sign. Because, I always like fringe stuff. I always like really weird shit.
Well, that's funny because, like, I totally think that about the ampersand deck. Now, I like the ampersand deck. But, like you think it's like one of your favorites. Like, the ampersand deck is kind of like one of those, like, first King's Wild decks that I'd, like, push off the edge.
Dude, but that's me. That's always my taste.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, out of decks that came out this year, I look at Lepidopterist by Ethan Kovalevsky, and I'm like, this is the weirdest deck I've ever seen. Like, to title a deck the Lepidopterist. I mean, I have a pretty good vocabulary, and I had to look up the word Lepidopterist, and looking at the deck, I'm like, he themed a deck around this crazy Art Nouveau butterfly stuff, and it's like, it's super weird. But then I talk to other people, and they're like, oh yeah, I haven't got it yet or something. And I'm like, yep, there you go. That's me. Yeah. It's because like I see so much stuff and I always have, like I've always been a consumer of visuals. And so something has to have something a little different for me to like it. And the ampersand deck was like that. But what won? What actually happened?
We actually had 8 people that had brackets that were one off. And then that's what we ended up drawing. But after the fact, somebody contacted us and said, hey, I had a perfect bracket and I wasn't, I didn't win. What's up? Because I say in my Wednesday weekly update video, I said, hey, we didn't have anybody have a perfect bracket. And a girl contacted us and said, hey, I have a perfect bracket. And she sent us like the post of her bracket. We checked the date and stuff like that. We had just missed her post when they were putting together like the master list, and so we ended up having 2 winners because we wanted to honor her winning, but we had 2 people. But dude, people turned out for that thing. We probably had for every round, not in the beginning, just as it was like picking up steam, but like halfway through it, we probably had at least 1,000 people vote every time.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, which I think is really good for something like that.
Well, I thought it was unique to do that. Like, I mean, I actually really got into it. Like, and I just would look at it and I'd be like, but like it was funny. Didn't King Arthur deck go against Federal 52s?
Yeah, and beat them, which was one of the ones
It stunned me.
Which is one of the ones that I didn't think would happen.
Because
But
usually the
like
iconic deck
like
will always
Arthurian,
win.
like Arthurian is probably my favorite. One of my, if not my favorite, King's Wild deck. That and Robin Hood are probably my favorites.
Well, the Tuck is awesome on the Arthurian deck, though.
Yeah, I really like that deck. The
Isn't that hard to assemble with the Tuck like that?
It's horribly hard.
Yep, I know.
That's why I just pay somebody else to do it.
Well, it's funny though. It like adds so much more
It
when
does.
you have like a weird Tuck.
What was I gonna say? I remembered something that I wanted to tell you. I can't remember.
About the contest?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're trying to figure out something. We're trying to figure out something even crazier with like a bigger prize to like really really step it up to like get a, because I mean a ton of people were engaged and and did it, so we liked it.
I don't give a beep about the NCAA bracket. I cared more about the King's Wild.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
I hate college sports,
Oh yeah.
but I love that. I love the bracket, dude. I just, as soon as it started, I said to myself, no, nothing's going to take out the Federal 52s because it's always the iconic product wins.
I knew that legal tender was going to win, but I didn't. I placed personally because I had my own bracket, and a lot of people were mad that I put out a bracket because it swayed a lot of people's votes, and that's why a lot of people didn't win because they were copying. They were the same as my bracket. But I think I lost like in the second round. I think with Arthurian beating the Feds, at least the OG Feds.
I would have never got that right.
But I think that what skewed it, well, not necessarily skewed it. What I wasn't, because I don't think it was skewed. I think it was a good, honest sampling. Is so many people. We have so many new people that don't. I have so many people, new customers, and also so many people that follow me that don't necessarily have not ever bought a deck of cards from my website, which is fine because I follow a lot of people, a lot of artists that I like their work, but I'm not buying their stuff. We only showed the tuck cases, and so a lot of the voting was just based on, well, which tuck case do I like? Which tuck case looks better
I
visually?
never thought about that. That's absolutely it with the Arthurian for sure.
Yeah, because the Arthurian is a great tuck case, and it was going against the old OG Feds, which I think the OG Fed tuck case is one of my weaker tuck cases because I didn't know anything about playing cards, and I'd go back and do it differently, but I wanted to stay true to that original, just because it was the original and not change it. And I think that it lost just because so many people were just basing it on, that initial look of the tuck cases, and that's it. They didn't see any cards.
But is the tuck of the Federal 52s? Does it show the back of the deck on it?
Not the pictures that we showed to when they were voting.
But I mean, like when you hold the feds in your hand, does it have the actual back of the card on it?
Yeah, it does have the back design on the back of the tuck case, but we never showed that. Which I do think that the back design's strong, but the front of the tuck case is the weakest part of that whole thing, and that's the only thing we showed.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I was doing like the clip joint tuck, like actually a decade ago, well, it already passed. But when I was doing it, Dan and Dave said to me, we should have the back of the card on the back of the tuck so people know what they're buying. And I said, absolutely not. I don't care that they know. I just want it to feel like it was from a time. So they wouldn't have had that back there if this was from a dive in the 40s. Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of a debate at the time, like, well, will it sell? No one knows what this is and that. And I said, I just don't really care. I mean, So at that time, I just never even thought about like making a red cent on it. So I said, screw it. We're just not going to put it on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. What's your thought on that? Do you like tucks that display the back?
I mean, I think it's definitely a nostalgic throwback to the way that decks used to be, like when they always had the back on them. But it's not a thing that I try to do, that I have to. It's not a rule that I follow all the time.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's cool, like it fits, you know, for a genre or something. But other times it's like everything's photographed to death nowadays. It's not like you really need to see the back on the box to buy it. It's not like someone's buying it like a pack of cigarettes or something.
Right.
I mean, it's like a cigarette box doesn't show you what the cigarette looks like inside. You know what it is.
True. But at least with my stuff, because my stuff is so illustrative, so much of it, I mean, my people, you know, I hope that people buy my stuff because of the artwork. And, you know, people aren't buying cigarettes because of the way they look, but people are buying my decks of cards because of the way they look. You know what I mean?
Or just to have the tuck. I mean, like, it's funny. It's like the amount of people who complain about handling of cards has decreased 1,000% in the last 15 years because less cards are handled and more cards are collected. So it's very interesting to see the market change, and for the better too, because you have a lot of new people in it, you know, not just the same, which I love the original, I'd say 50, you know, that I still, half of them I talk to still from, you know, back in the old days, but
Yeah.
decks now have different purpose. And you're a lot of the reason for it, actually.
Yeah, but there's still people that are dead set on handling.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, especially with my stuff. I mean, it's like the Ace Fulton is like the original Cardist deck.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Cardist, you know, like you'll get comments like, I love ivory finished cards, and you should see like it's half and half. Like half the people are like, oh, they're like cardboard, they suck. Like, please don't do an ivory again. And then I get like 1 million emails a year, like, when's the next ivory one? That's the greatest ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
the thing that I don't like about it is when, and this probably open up a can of worms, but
yeah, open it up.
It goes back to the seeking for perfection thing. Like, I definitely want to have. How do I say this? I don't like when exterior factors that you can't have control of cripple you or paralyze you to forcing you to make certain decisions. I don't like that. And I feel like that, especially, I feel that way about sometimes with like handling or something like that. And it's the same reason, like, you have to weigh, and it's different for different people, because you and I have different, because you come from a magician's background and a handling background. Yeah. So you obviously have a propensity to, like, you know, that's more important to you than it is to me. But like a good example is like always like de facto you have to print with. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying proverbial you. You got to print with the United States Playing Card Company.
That is me though.
I know, but at the same time, like, and if you think about with me, like, I'm about the art and like the print quality. Now, United States Playing Card Company has great print quality, stuff like that, but like,
oh, it's unmatched.
But they have horrible registration, which is a huge thing. And
you know what? It's funny. Like, I have old decks that have offer. I'm not excusing it, you know, and of course I want everything to line up, but I'll take it.
And see, that's the thing. You get to a point to where you understand what's important to you as a creator, and you understand, and not that you make concessions, but you understand that what's the things that you'll take. Like what's more important for me is because I make so many decks, I want to print my cards with somebody. Like, I want to have a good relationship with the people that I print cards with, and because I deal with them, I'm dealing with them so much that the customer service of a company is very, very important. It's even more important to me than the actual product that they end up printing for me. and I mean, that's why
interesting.
That's why I don't print with Cartamundi, because I had a really bad experience with them. And it's not that I have bad customer service with the United States Playing Card Company, because my experiences with the United States Playing Card Company have been great over the years. It's just kind of the corporate wheel that they are is very limiting in some of the stuff that I've wanted to do in the past that I really wasn't able to do. And so,
well, yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about, because it's like almost like dealing with a city service, like a bureaucracy. And I do know Sonia at Mr. Playing Card is freaking awesome. Like she will say that she'll get back to me tomorrow, and she will email me at 8 a.m. and she'll offer to send a sample, and she's freaking amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And when, especially with like my subscriptions and stuff like that, because like the response time and timely manner is so important to me, and the relationship and the back and forth, because I'm talking to these people all the time, and there's so many moving parts to all these different decks that I gotta have a good communication line with these people. And that's
it's like Dan at Club's freaking awesome. Dan will have some weird, stupid, like, me, the detail guy, I have like some weird requests, and I'll just even hit him up, and he'll respond to me, and he'll do it, and he's great to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's like Dan at Close Read is a great example. Like,
well, he's passionate, man. He wants to like gear out and figure out a solution.
Absolutely. And like, there was a time where I kind of went away from using him as much, just to try to cut down the number of back to those moving parts that I was talking about. Like, just take out one less thing that I had to like reassemble or whatever. And ended up not liking, ended up having a harder time. I was getting a better quality with Daniel, but at the same time, it goes back to that relationship that I have with Daniel. It's like, I got a cell phone number. I'll text him, hey, what's, I talk to him all the time. At least I probably talk to him 2 or 3 times a week. And he gets back to me, and it's that relationship that I have with him that makes that so important. And it's kind of like, it kind of goes back to the thing where like you make a list of things that you'll take and that you'll sacrifice, and not even really sacrifice. It's just the priorities. My priorities are different. And I don't like when I guess things that are not my priorities, and it's all personal, and I'm probably not making any sense, but
No, I totally understand it. It's like if you were a movie director and you came from the Easy Rider era, where you were an independent guy like a Dennis Hopper or Peter, Henry Fonda, Peter Fonda or whatever. It's different than if you would have talked to Hitchcock, who's like, oh, I'm in a studio system. The studio gets everything done for me.
Right.
So for me, being there since eternity, and being around Dan and Dave 24 hours a day, and hearing Dan say, or Dave say, this card handling is bad, this stock is bad, the Jerry's have this finish, this has this. We would just literally sit, and because Dan, Dave, and I are measure baiters and nitpickers, we will sit there and find even like a cardboard box and say, look at the bad design, look at how it doesn't fold right. And we'll sit there and think about it for an hour, which you would just probably call like navel gazing or, something, or time wasting.
I love that.
That's just how we are. We sit, my college professor, Jack Wickert, he said to me, he called me on New Year's Eve, and he said, he's like 80. He's like, hey, Fulton, what are you doing? I said, I'm reading about the Roman Empire. And he's like, what the hell are you doing? It's New Year's Eve. Why don't you get plastered? And I said, no, Jack, I'm sitting there. And he's like, no, you're navel gazing. You're a navel gazer. You're sitting there pondering the existence of life within your belly button. And he's right. And I am, and I've accepted it. I'm a navel gazer. I'm a ponderer. I also have a minor in philosophy in college. It tells you how I love worthless thought processes. And I do that with cards. I will sit there. I'm not a magician. I'm not a great cardist. I'm not a great anything at it. I will sit there and I will beat the blank out of a deck all day and night and measure bait the finish and say, oh, that's different. The thin stock's different. How long does that last? What's the difference? Oh, Dave Buck and I figured out the first Guy Hollingworth cards were like 4 cards thinner than the second one.
Yeah.
So we're calling the playing card company. Why is the crushing processes different? Oh, it's the same. No, it's not the same. We're measuring. That's just the point of our navel gazing. I know it's anti-Jackson, it's anti-Canyon, Texas, but that's just how we are. I'm a lot of things, but I'm honest. I
Yes.
know who I am and what I am, and
That's
I
the
know
thing.
that-
That's the thing. Like, if I'm glad you say that, because past my own thoughts of like productivity and, you know, you shouldn't search for perfection. The biggest hurdle that, you know, especially artists, the biggest hurdle that I see creative people can't get past is they can't be honest about themselves and accept who they are in terms of like the way that they work, the way that their process works. And if you just like it, like 90% of people's problems creatively would be solved if they just accepted who they were. And they're like, okay, I'm like this. How do I stop spending all my time trying to change who I am? And how do I use who I am and exploit that for my productivity benefits? And how do I use that to my advantage to be more productive and more creative?
Oh, absolutely right. It's like, if you're an alcoholic, you should, and you're taking the bus home, you should at least know where all the bars are so you can get off a few stops before and change your route.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or like, no, I totally agree. And people spend so much time like trying to change who they are, or like, oh, I got to be better. I got to change who I am, blah, blah, blah. And because what happens is they'll change themselves, or they'll like change a habit for a little while. I don't even know what I'm saying. Sometimes I just start talking, bro. Sometimes I just start talking.
Oh, this guy, Kevin here is saying, who is my favorite philosopher? I will tell you what, I got so deep in the rabbit hole in philosophy from maybe the year 1997 to 2004 that there was a winter time where I went I've never been like a depression guy. Like I've always just been busy. Like I do things. I've never sat around and said like, oh, I just want to end this life, and, you know, Romeo and Juliet myself in a bathtub or something. But it's like, I got so deep into philosophy, and like, I really thought that I was going to solve the world's like mysteries of life, you know, like when I'm like 20 and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to read this. And I got so depressed like this one winter, and I was just reading all of this like Kant and doing logic equations and you know, Kierkegaard and you know, Plato and Socrates and all this stuff. And I just thought like, you know what, dude, this is getting so stupid. This is ridiculous. I need to like go out and skateboard all year and forget about it. So who is my favorite philosopher is probably me. I'm probably my favorite philosopher because I have as much chance of solving these problems as anyone else. And when we started doing logic equations at USC, I sat there and I realized,
what are
this is
logic
the dumbest thing
equations
of all time. What's that?
What are logic equations?
Oh, it's like analyzing thought processes and like how to make sense of a certain statement to find truth in something. I mean, you don't even want to talk about it. You do not want to go to like my college classes in Mud Hollow philosophy at USC and sit there. And I loved every minute of them. I'm not saying anything like that, but I finally just had the realization that, you know what, this is my life. This is my time to live. And I need to stop living in the past and thinking about these things. And I still do think about it. Like there's a YouTube channel called Closer to Truth. And it's this guy, Robert Lawrence Kuhn, and he's an agnostic. And so one week he'll have atheists on, and then the next week he'll have Christians on. And then he really just literally wants to find out what he can gain from both of them. And I will sit there and I will just listen to it like in my earphone forever. You know, the philosophical arguments for, against religion, existence, afterlife. And it's fascinating. At the same time, I know that I'm not going to quote unquote get closer to truth watching a channel.
Yeah. I like it. When are we going to just start our Deep Thoughts podcast where we just talk?
We should do it, dude. I get the most comments I ever get is, why don't you and Jackson do a podcast? You have a relationship, a rapport, which is true. We should just do a podcast and just have like a different theme. Like before we went on today, we were testing the microphone and we were talking about over the top, because I sent Jackson a silly picture of me with my King's Wild hat on, and I said like, I'm ready to arm wrestle. I'm ready to go over the top.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Of course, we started talking about it, and we had a debate over what year did it come out. And I'm usually pretty good with it, but I said 1990, and Jackson said 87, and it's right.
Well, no. What I said, and here's the thing that I think is interesting about that I think that we could have a podcast about, or at least that could be an entire show Like, the thing that I said was, I think it was the early 90s or the late 80s. That's what I said. But I said, but you know what's going to happen. We're going to look it up, and it's going to be like 15 years older than what we thought. And my wife and I joke about that all the time now. It's like, you know, like, hey, you know, did you, like, we'll, like thinking like an actor or something like that. And you'll say, yeah, didn't they die last year or something like that? And then you look it up, and they died like 10 years ago or like 15 years
absolutely.
ago.
For me, it's always 2004 to 2009 they died, and I think they just like left the building last month.
Yeah, exactly. But like, just like that whole concept of like, you are older than what you think you are.
Absolutely right.
Like with movies and actors and stuff. Oh yeah, he died. He died a couple of years ago. No, he died in 93.
Or you're like, remember when Morgan Freeman was alive? And then you see a commercial coming soon.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, Katie Byrne. I like Katie Byrne. She's a nice person.
That's Your Majesty. She's the queen of the DEO
absolutely.
crew.
It's a good Scotch last name too. It's funny though with we were talking about Cobra. Like I remember as a kid, we were living in Phoenix, Arizona, and we went to a movie theater to see something, maybe The Wizard, or I don't remember what was out at the same time, but I saw the poster for Cobra with Stallone. And I'm like, this is the coolest guy ever. Like, I want to be this dude. Like, I want to see this movie. And then, of course, I didn't get taken to see Cobra. But then, like, we had a babysitter come over, and my parents, like, this is when I still had a dad at home, I think, they went out to go see Cobra. And I was like, wow, they get to go see that. And they came home, and I'm like, what happened in it? Like, what's it about? And, of course, I didn't get the answer.
You know the funny thing about that? I remember that movie poster. I know exactly what it looks like. I remember
the red and the scope.
Yeah, but the thing let's talk about that scope. That scope. Let me see if I can pull a picture of it without my live getting flagged. Cobra movie poster. When I was a kid, I couldn't. For so long, I thought that laser coming out of the scope, I thought that was the barrel, and like him shooting. I thought that was the barrel and that he was shooting. Oh my God. Look at this. Look at this beauty. Look at this beauty.
Katie says she's an Irish Byrne. Well, we have that discrepancy in my family. I have relatives that are Scotch that were born in Donegal, Ireland. So they're Irish, Scotch, but were from Ellis Island. You know, they came through Ellis Island. Yeah, I love that poster. Just look at him.
Like, I thought this laser coming out, I thought that I mean, the freaking laser is as big as the gun. I mean, the barrel of the laser is bigger than the gun itself.
You should do a freaking deck based on the laser of Cobra.
Call it Laser Cobra or Cobra Laser.
Dude, just look at Stallone too. Like, he was so cool looking.
And he had that match in his mouth. And
yeah.
And remember that, like, is that old, like, 30s or 40s, like, lead sled that he drove? That big black.
You know what's funny is I've never seen the full movie of Cobra, and this was in the 90s.
I've never seen it either, but I've seen tons of clips on YouTube that makes it.
There's the clip of him like parking at Venice Beach, I think.
Yeah. Well, he lives in Venice in the movie.
Yes.
Because he's like in this.
One of the other great movies, Michael Douglas Falling Down, where his wife is like kind of poor and she lives in Venice Beach, and now that house is like $3 million.
Mm-hmm. And I remember that pier that he ends up getting, you know, where Duvall shoots him at the end. A spoiler alert. Sorry, it's too late now.
I think that's a Redondo, maybe. That might be Manhattan Beach or Redondo.
It's down there in Redondo or Manhattan Beach. Because I remember we'd go out there. I'd take the kids out there.
Oh, yeah. Dude, my mom took me to see that movie in the theaters twice, if you can believe that. Dude, I was young. Now, that was like 1992.
Let's see. It's probably.
I think that's 92.
Let's see what happens. Let's see. Let's test our theory. Falling Down.
Falling Down is so brilliant. It's so deep.
1993.
So freaking deep.
You're pretty spot on there. 1993. God, it was such a great.
The guy
movie.
who wrote it was an actor too. He's not like a writer. It's crazy.
Yeah.
93.
Yep. 93.
Yeah, dude. I freaking love Michael Douglas in that movie. I loved his outfit.
Yep.
I love the signs you're doing too, by the way.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, remember the movie The Wizard? And like I saw.
Is that the one that the Nintendo, or is that the Wiz?
Yeah, no, that's it. The Power Glove. Yeah. The Wiz was Michael Jackson.
Yes, the Wiz. No, the Wizard. Wait.
Remember
Is that
they
the
were
one?
going to the video game championship in Vegas, and then the Power Glove.
Oh, the Power Glove.
Power Glove.
Dude,
And
I
tried to
remember.
play Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Oh my
and
gosh.
My arm was like broken after like 5 seconds.
I remember that movie because when I was a kid, I still like it. I love the Eurythmics song, Sweet Dreams. And I remember a part in that movie where it's like a musical montage. Let me see if I can find it. It's like when they're on, I don't even know if it's from, I could be totally wrong, but I think it's from that movie. And there's like a musical montage where they're like riding on the back of motorcycles. And I think it's when they go to see those roadside dinosaurs.
Oh yes, in like out toward Barstow.
Yeah, and they're playing Sweet Dreams.
You might be right about that, and I haven't thought. Oh, C-Dub, hey Chris, C-Dub. C-Dub says Wizard is first time Mario 3 came out, and that is so true. I bought Mario 3.
Heck
My
yeah.
mom got it for me after we had a field day at school.
Dude, when Mario 3 came out, I remember watching it and seeing the raccoon tail on the movie.
Tanuki.
Dude, Mario 3, that has got to be one of the most epic game changers.
Oh, I agree. I played it last year on my like mini Nintendo thing and beat it, and it was freaking amazing.
Mario 3 is like, if I had to make like a top 3 NES games that were like pivotal in my childhood, Mario 3 was one of them.
Well, after that turd Mario 2, which was a reskin of some stupid game, I could not stand Mario 2.
Pulling those onions out of the ground.
Yeah, like you're pulling some radish out and throwing it some.
I want to pull your radishes out of the ground, and I want to turn into a raccoon or the fire guy.
Dude, the most satisfying thing ever is hitting a block, like a coin block, with a Tanuki tail.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've just like worked a full day when I do that. I love that. I mean, I know that you don't play games, but I'm still like a Nintendo addict, and I still play like.
I was a game freak, dude. I played way too much video
Well, you
games.
designed video games, man.
When I was in the game industry, I played an obscene amount of video games. Like I probably wasted 300 hours on Skyrim and Assassin's Creed.
Are you gonna? No, I never got into those games, dude. I'm like such a Nintendo loyalist. I don't know, like they're the only company that really has my. I don't know, just like
See, that's the thing.
Like I'm married to them.
It's like the United States Playing Card Company. You gotta at least try something.
Yeah, I'm not a good change guy. And like it's funny how like you see like your bad traits in your kids, because like my second daughter is like a lot like me, and like we're trying to get her a bigger glove for softball, and she's like, nope, I want this one. I'm like, look, sweetie, we got to change it out. Like it's too small. She's like, no, because she doesn't like change.
Yeah. Yeah,
it drives you crazy. Like when you see that trait in your kids, you're like, oh God.
See, like when I worked at the video game studio, like most everybody, I mean, let me just backtrack. I'm horrible at first-person shooter games, like Call of Duty, stuff like that. I'm horrible.
I never liked those.
But like you give me like an RPG game where it's like there's a story and there's like all this character development, and I have to like follow the story and develop this character, and I'm the guy in control of developing this character. Like I will eat that stuff up, like a Mass Effect or Skyrim or Assassin's Creed. Not so much Assassin's Creed, but I just liked Assassin's Creed mainly because of like the historical eras that it took place in. But
that's like your being right there, is like kind of fantasy historical.
Yep. Yes, that's where I love, and like, yeah, those are the kind of games that I like to play.
What's that famous RPG on the PC that everyone was? What's it called?
Final Fantasy? No.
Yes. No. No. It's like maybe 12, 15 years ago. I'm sure people were buying. It's like the first time people were trading on eBay, like upgrades.
Oh yeah. It's made by Blizzard. World of Warcraft.
Yes.
Yeah. My
friend Hin Nguyen, him and his wife and I would go out for like dinner. This was like 15 years ago. Him and his wife Christine, and I went over to their house, and he's like, "Oh, hey Brad, okay, we're gonna go out in a little bit. I just got to finish something up." And so we went in his room. Him, his wife, and I. My wife was somewhere else, and we went in his room and he sat at the computer and he started turning on this game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck are you doing, dude? Like, aren't we leaving? And he's like, I just have to finish this. And his wife started trash talking him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all he does is spend his time on this loser stuff. And I found out he's spending hundreds of dollars on eBay. And he's like, well, I needed this certain axe to do this. And she was like, just like livid at it. And they got in like a couples fight. Yeah. And I just like went silent and just watched it and just stayed out of it. But that's definitely what I remember about RPGs.
It's definitely one of the big reasons why I don't play anymore, just because I was just so consumed, because I have a very addictive personality anyways, but I got so consumed with it. All right, name me your top 3 NES games.
Like NES or Super Nintendo?
NES. My family wasn't rich enough to have a Super Nintendo, bro.
But your neighbors that have a...
My neighbors had the Super Nintendo. I played Street Fighter with my neighbor's Super Nintendo. And my rich cousins,
cartridge.
My rich cousins had a NES and a Sega Saturn.
How did your cousins get rich?
I don't know. It was the early 90s and 80s, and they were farmers.
Were they like with Willie Nelson doing some Farm Aid?
I don't know that. But go ahead.
Willie Nelson.
Let me see your NES games.
Well, of course, Super Mario Brothers. It's still amazingly playable. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Boom. Okay.
Kung Fu and Super Mario Brothers 3. I'll go 4.
Okay. Let me go back. I want you to create 2 lists for me. I want you to give me your staples, and then I want you to give me your top 3 deep cuts that may have not been your staples, but you liked them and you remember playing them.
Oh. Dude, the top 3 of that, number 1 would be Gradius.
Okay.
It's not one of my favorite games of all time, but I did have kind of an addiction to it, and I really loved it. And then there was a debate at school whether it was Gradius or Gradius. Just kind of like an R-type, I guess is what it was. Oh, Commando and Russian Attack would be my 3.
Yes. So,
Remember that? Dude, Commando was freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah. So my staples are Mario 3. No, whatever. Mario 3. Let's see. Super Dodgeball.
Oh, that's on Nintendo Online now.
Yeah, do you remember Super Dodgeball?
Yeah, of course I do.
And then what was the other one?
Wrestling or Zelda?
I want to say Mike Tyson, but I don't. I have like this sore spot in my heart with Mike Tyson because my brother's 4 years older than me, and anytime I would play Mike Tyson, I would play my brother and he would just always beat me, so I just got real bitter against it.
Oh, that's funny. Did he rub it in your face though when he
Oh yeah, come on. I would probably say
Paperboy, this guy.
Oh, Paperboy. Yeah, dude, come on. That's amazing. I think
remember Tyson's Punch-Out? It was 007-373-5963. That was the code to Tyson.
Yeah. And Contra was my.
Oh, Contra, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And then my deep cuts are. What's the name of it? I can't remember. It was a spy game.
Atari Warriors.
No, it was a spy game where all I remember is like a like a searchlight from a helicopter, and you're driving a car.
Not Spy Hunter.
Yeah, it's Spy Hunter.
Oh, I love that. Remember? Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
And then Top Gun.
Oh, Top Gun was awesome too. I really enjoyed that too. Also, the Top Gun house was at the beach in my hometown of Oceanside, California.
Really?
Yep. And I think now they've moved it to a hotel resort because it was like a derelict kind of street, like by the beach, and it was just sat there empty for like 30 years.
I remember NBA Jam and Techno Bowl.
Oh, NBA Jam was cool.
Techno Bowl. My brother and I, getting Bo Jackson and running a 175-yard kickoff return.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I played as the Raiders. I still play as the Raiders on Tecmo Bowl.
I saw on Instagram like yesterday, just like one of those little like new emulators that looks like a little Apple TV that has all of those games on it. I was like, I'm gonna get that for the office.
Oh, dude, absolutely, man. Tecmo Bowl's still fun too. It's just such a great era too. Like how you'd go to the toy store and like, I don't know. It's just like online is awesome because we can do things like this and but then it's also just horrible because the excitement of getting a new game is just not the same.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is close. I mean, I still buy Switch games. Like, I'm still really into it. And like, I play with my kids. We're playing Zelda Skyward Sword right now, and it's freaking amazing.
Oh, this is feeling pretty good to me, actually.
It looks great, man. I just love it. It's just solid.
It's my playing.
I love that spade because it looks like someone that was a sign maker back then would have done that. I mean, it's just, it has an off-kilter look to it that I love.
And you can see this Fulton really nice and clear over here.
You know, you're really underrated type guy. Like, I remember when, now we haven't showed the box for this, but it's my favorite box of all time. I mean, like, you think Arthurian is cool, which it is. But the clip joint box that like Jackson's done is unreal. And I know Dan Clove will like to screw around with that. But like, when you showed me like your type, like, I thought you were an underrated type guy.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, you're known for like just illustrative stuff, but like your actual type, like, and how fast. Like, I have an MP4 on my Dropbox that, like, it's gonna sound real nerdy, but I've watched it like 500 times of Jackson. Like, it's like a time lapse of him doing the box for clip joint, and it's like the type thing is like, what the heck?
Have you seen the?
Do you enjoy doing type?
I love type. Have you seen the new Alice in Wonderland tuck case?
No, I have not.
Let me show it to you. We're going to do 3D embossing. We're going to make that standard deck that the Buck twins make look like amateur hour.
Well, that box got a lot of detail to it. I don't know if I have one of those standard decks at home. It's a cool deck though. I mean,
it's very nice.
I don't have it.
We're doing like 3D embossing on the type. I say that because we're talking about type.
Do you know an underrated type deck and monogram deck is that original Private Reserve that Jeff Trish did for Dan and Dave like years ago?
Yep.
Oh, it's like, it doesn't go into that over-designed world, and it's clean. Oh man, that is beautiful.
So all the yellow type is going to be 3D sculpted embossing, and I did this.
What the heck?
And I did this, like, it's hard to tell on the screen, but I did this mock-up of what I wanted. Let me see if I can find it.
Look at the side. The side looks illegible, and then it makes sense all of a sudden. It's like being drunk and then sobering.
But I did this mock-up of what I want the. Where did I put that?
Look at the shape though on the side, like the side. I just like the background shape.
Thanks, bro.
That's actually one of the best tucks I've seen in recent time. It looks like it's done with colored pencils too.
I love colored pencils, dude. That's how,
Have
like,
you ever
Drew.
seen Blackwing pencils and seen their colored pencils?
No.
Oh, they're a great colored pencil. You would love them.
I have a. That's how. I mean, one of my favorite artists growing up and still now, Drew Struzan, the guy that does all like the John Williams, Lucas.
Oh yeah, the Star Wars poster and Back to the Future.
I mean, his the way he does it is a mix of acrylic, airbrush, and colored pencil, dude. The way he does all that stuff.
I watched like a Struzan video like a decade ago, and it was amazing.
Here it is. So I did this mock-up of how I want the text to be, and so I drew the A, like I rendered the A the way I wanted them to do it.
Oh wait! It's gonna look like that when Clove does this.
It's gonna be 3D sculpt, because you know, like the lion head on the standard deck is a 3D sculpted embossing plate. So it has like, it's not just kind of like a binary. It's either embossed or it's not. It's actually, they actually CNC a shaped embossing plate to give it form.
Is that die expensive?
Yes, it's probably, I would say probably 3 times expensive. And probably takes,
Whoa.
Yeah. And so each one of the letters is going to have like, and the fact that it's just solid foil is going to make it look even better, because the 3D sculpted emboss really works when you have it where it's just on foil. And so each letter is going to have like that kind of like chiseled look.
So what you're saying is that the plate has a varying depth. Like a graded depth.
Yeah, and so like this image on the right is like me showing them, okay, these kind of gray lines are the ridges, the apex ridges, and then these red lines are like the apex valleys or the creases.
It looks like a blueprint for a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Like,
Yeah.
you have to go that deep into it to get a damn plate done.
And I've got this layover right here. If you zoom into the text, where it's that the blue and red layover of what I want to be ridges and valleys.
Is that now? What is your fascination with literary playing card decks?
I don't know. I think it's just my love of story and literature. Like it's funny that you asked that, because just like 2 days ago, I'll even show it to you. I started a list of deck possibilities for next year. And man, these are ones I put together for next year. So we got like, let's see, the 12 Labors of Hercules. Come on, 12 court cards. You've got like Iliad and the Odyssey, Trojan War, NASA, Lunchbox, Soapbox, Old Lunchbox. I got this idea for a samurai deck called Ronin. I really want to do this one right here. It's called Gnomon. Gnomon is the needle on a sundial, and I want to do a tuck case that has like a cutout that you can fold up, and it's got a sundial on the front of the tuck case where you can actually put it down.
Oh, that's cool. Does it actually work?
I'm gonna do this one. I did the law. I read up on the laws a couple of days ago on the DEL, but I'm gonna do a British currency called sterling. The British pound sterling, and we're gonna do
Of course I do.
We're gonna do a legal tender deck. The next legal tender series, but it's gonna be the British currency. It's gonna be awesome.
Now that is cool, because I've always thought that when I traveled abroad, I always thought that foreign currency, of course, because everything different looks cool.
Mm-hmm. I also think that so you got Three Musketeers, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Merchant of Venice, Midsummer's Night Dream, Macbeth, Othello, Taming of the Shrew, King Lear, Time Machine.
Now, the Time Machine might be cool, because like the movie poster for the movie Time Machine, the old one from maybe the 60s, is awesome.
Yeah. Shin Tzu's Art of War, War of the Worlds, Last Mohicans, Les Miserables. So this was just like 10 minutes of me just like doing stuff that I liked and remembering, like,
though that's one of my favorite things about you, and what I've said since the beginning is, whether you like Jackson and Kings Wild or you don't, it doesn't really matter, because you're doing your own thing. Like you are a genre in playing cards. So if somebody is their own genre, I can't really dislike them, because playing cards are so freaking repetitive nowadays. And I see things like, I've been ripped off 10,000 times for eternity on things, and I'm like, anybody who does something that's their thing, like you or Ethan with Lepidopterist or whatever, like as long as it's unique now in this market, you can't dislike it.
That's cool.
So if you want to do a Les Miserables deck, nobody is thinking like this. Nobody is thinking in terms of doing an Alice in Wonderland deck. So whether someone has really bad taste and they don't like your Alice in Wonderland deck, you can't dislike it, because nobody else is going that direction. That's my take anyway.
So speaking of finishing this deck, I need you to take a picture of yourself in that pose of the ad card. Where's the ad card? I need you to take a picture in your hat.
Yes.
Because I will
do that today.
I hate drawing hats. And
I know you do.
And I want to be lazy, and I don't want to draw a hat. So I want you to take a picture of it.
Absolutely.
Let me find it. Where's it? Fulton playing cards here. Blah, 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 blah. Fulton ad card. Yeah, so you just need to take a picture of that. I like this. This is
I love it.
This is the let me.
Or you know what? We could just go, if it's since it's a fantasy deck, we can just give myself my hair that I had like 10 years ago.
I remember seeing pictures of you with, and you had a nice coif, bro.
Dude, I had beautiful hair, and then I got thyroid disease. And it's actually, so like they did a DNA test, like, because I'm like, well, no one in my family's bald, like no one, my dad, my grandpa, no one. So I'm like, male pattern balding is like not really like a thing. So like, what's going on? So I went to a dermatologist, and they did like a scalp analysis, and they said like, yeah, it's not genetic balding, it's an allergic reaction to a medication I have to take. I'm like, okay, so let's switch medications and deal with that. And it's just never been solved. So the hair falls out.
Oh man.
And it's not like a denial thing. Like, dude, if I'm going bald, you just like shave it like Kobe and get over it. I'm not gonna like sit around and think like, what kind of wig do I buy? I'm not really that type of guy,
Yeah.
Like I'm not getting I'm not going to a tanning salon, and I'm not getting my teeth capped. I don't really care. I'm already married. I don't really need to go to the club, So it's like, dude, what the heck? Like, I loved my hair. It was great. And then it's like gone. And then worse than just saying, oh, well, dad's bald, grandpa's bald. No, it's like a mysterious fate, Jackson. It's a bummer, but you know, we can recreate it in the card deck. We can recreate my hair. We can just do that instead of a hat. You hate hats.
Let me finish this awning here.
And then when I sign the deck, I will sign that card and I will write 2006 on it. Or 2000. No, actually, I'll write 2013. I think that was my last great hair year.
Your last great hair year.
Yeah, because like I started like ballooning up in weight. Like I was hardly eating and I got to like 268 pounds. And I'm like, what's going on? And my legs were swollen. And like, you know, my mom was like, dude, we got to go to the podiatrist. Your foot's swollen. So we go to the podiatrist. He's like, I'm going to go call over to this doctor right now. Go over there. I think you have a blood clot. Oh. Because my leg was so swollen. So we go over there. I get a venous ultrasound. They're like, no, veins look great. Everything. They do a blood test. The guy's like, oh, dude, you have thyroid disease. Like your numbers are insane. How long have you had this? And like, I look back at pictures and it must've been like, I had it for 5 years and it was slowly just like depleting my thyroid.
Jeez.
And you know what's crazy is my childhood neighbor, my mom and my cat all got thyroid disease. So I think it was like too much fluoride in the water.
Something in the water,
fluoride
bro.
was used to cure hyperthyroid, to kill your thyroid in the 30s.
Yep.
Because I mean, no one in our family has it, but then all of us who live next door to each other have it.
Yeah, something in the water.
Yeah, so that's the hair story, Jackson. I'm sorry to go off on a tangent here.
Well, you gotta go the root. So on this Joker, what do you think about us doing so that the Jokers, so we don't just do two of the same? What if we do one Joker that's the kind of like grayscale valued version of this, like this, and then the other Joker is like just the line drawing?
Yeah, didn't we do the cat pumpkin for the Joker?
Oh yeah, you're totally right. This is just the ad card. We don't have to have two of these.
Has like the cat gone.
Yeah, totally. I totally forgot. We did the.
Well, yeah,
this is not even the Joker. This is
guy.
just the extra card, so we don't have to do two of these.
I think like it's done. I think like we're done with everything.
I think minus the hat. That's it. The hat's all we got left. So it's definitely inspiration for you to take that picture today.
Well, do we do a hat or do we do hair?
I'm trying to think. I would have to see some pictures of you with hair.
Oh, I can send you one right now. Should I send it over to you? Should I text it over to you?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see it.
Let's see here. Where's the... On Zoom, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
And we need to put some text on this card, I think.
There we go.
Okay. Let me see here.
You know what's funny is my friend's dad went bald and he's like 80 and he still wakes up every morning and puts on a wig that he's wearing, and it trips me out. I'm like, dude, why does your dad care?
Dude, look at that. Man, you're a...
Yeah.
You looks like a gangster mugshot from the 30s.
I know. My wife took that photo. She was in like her college photo class. I think this was probably like 2007.
Was that a good hair year?
That was freaking amazing hair year.
Can I show this picture?
Autographs at the mall.
Can I show this picture?
Yeah, of course you can.
Look at this. I mean, you might as well have like the booking number tile in front of you. So it's like Chicago or something.
Yeah, let's do my hair then. Let's just do hair. Let's not do a hat. Let's just do that. We'll just go full. I mean, you like fantasy stuff, right?
Let's see here. I'm going to go back. Where'd it go?
Yeah, I love fantasy stuff.
All right.
You know, this
Okay.
I'm not into medieval
Okay,
stuff. but I'm into adding hair.
okay. I'm just going to say this because I have to say it, because when I have an idea, I'm not trying to sway you, but I want to pose this question to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
What if we ditch? And I know you like this Line Decker illustration of that we kind of did this. But what if we made this photo into a mugshot, and we do, instead of this as your ad card, I make it look like an old mugshot.
But let's not have like any like jail stuff. Let's just have a drawing of me, and then it just says Fulton under it. Like that's him.
Let me see. Have you ever seen
Whitey Bulger? He's got a great mugshot.
Well, I remember seeing this. I remember seeing like this article of like these mugshots from like the 1900s. Let me see. Awesome mugshot.
I like where you're going too. Actually, it might fit better, Jackson. Actually.
Let's see here. I mean, look at Johnny Cash's mugshot.
Johnny Cash was a big meth guy, but also you got to remember he lived in California for a long time, Jackson.
Where was it? It was like, oh, there's too many like just stupid mugshots in the Google
Dude,
search.
let's do it, and then like have like the card thing either just say Fulton's Clip Joint or Fulton.
All right, 1 second. I want to see if I can find something.
I love the idea actually. It also makes more sense. I mean, why am I playing a guitar at the clip joint? I don't know how to play guitar.
These are mugshots from the 1920s, dude. I'm going to copy this link in the YouTube so people can look at this. But look at these mugshots. Like this is the guy's close up. Are you seeing what I'm seeing yet?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the guy's face, but look at this second shot where they do these full bodies.
But why is it like it looks so freaking good? Like even back
it's a
then,
tintype.
the jail photographer was like a fine art photographer.
Yeah, and like look at this picture of like his body and like his attitude and like how he's got his hat pulled down.
Dude, let's do that. That is so freaking cool. That like fits way more. Like I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I'm not Jackson Robinson, right?
Look at these guys. They're like, what's up? And the fact that they're in jail, and you're not going to find one of these pictures where these guys aren't dressed to the T's, like in a suit.
I know.
Look at that guy. And like they even like leave
I like the top one.
They even like leave the lines for like when they were just writing even the letters are nice. Look at that guy.
Mugshots are so bad now. Oh my God.
Like these are like beautiful tintype. It's so crazy that they look so good.
He looks just like an innocent old guy I'd see in San Francisco. He didn't do anything wrong.
Look at this guy and his scar on his face. You know this guy was rough. I keep forgetting that you're behind me on the video.
Oh, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at Edward Dalton.
Yeah. Look at this guy's pompadour. Like, okay, look at this one right here. This Frank Murray alias Henry Williams, February 4th, 1929. Like, the picture's great, but look at this silhouette of this guy where you can't see him in the back, on the side, in the background.
What is that? Like, that looks like the Elephant Man over on the right.
I know, but it's like, and then there's like another guy behind that guy, but like you can't see their faces and just like that's.
But why were they doing this? I mean, what was and this is film too. I mean, this is not cheap.
These were mugshots.
I know, but like, why do the poses and stuff? Like, is it for like a lineup, for like documentation?
Yeah, I don't think that they were poses. They were just like taking people's pictures as they were booking them.
That is so cool. I've never seen mugshots like these.
I mean, they basically look like portraitures.
They look like those tintype things that people now, the hipsters, are doing.
Yeah, look at this guy. Look at
but
that guy.
The hipsters don't look this cool.
Yeah, look at that guy's wave in his hair, man.
Oh, look at this guy. Was definitely like a banker or an accountant that did something.
Yeah,
look at he's like a Bugsy Siegel, like number runner. You know, he wasn't intimidating anyone, but he had a friend that had
I want to show you
some Chicago Lightning.
I want to show you a book that I have. It's a tintype book, but it's one of the most It's one of my favorite books that I have. Let me see if I can find it right quick. 1 second. It's called, 1 second.
Glamour shots. I remember glamour shots. I used to walk through the mall and there would be all these women getting their hair and makeup done at the front with the lights on the mirror and stuff like that. And I was a kid and I used to just look in there and think, what are they doing there? Glamour shots. That's a great business idea. It's basically Snapchat. Snapchat is the new glamour shots, sadly. But the mall was an experience. I mean, you'd go and get your glamour shot done.
Okay. So, you have to get this book, Brad, by the way. If you don't get it, I'll just buy it for you and send it to you. This is one of my favorite books. It's called Revealing Character. And it says Texas Tim Types by Rob Kendrick. Let me show you a picture of it here. So that's the cover right there.
Oh, wow.
And I'll show you some.
Wait, Texas Tin Types.
Yeah, I'll show you. And so it's what this guy did. This photographer just went around Texas, and he took tintype photos of just actual, like, working cowboys.
Not Midnight Cowboys?
Not midnight cowboys, but working cowboys.
Oh, my God.
Let me find my favorite one. There's one that's in here. Super inspirational book to me. Let's see here.
I don't think these guys go to downtown Austin very much.
They definitely don't go to downtown Austin. And he went to like all the big ranches that are actually still, you know. I mean, come on, dude. Look at this guy.
I love books like that.
It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
But you should check it out. I'll find the link on
Oh, my God. Look at that guy, dude. Like, he looks very interesting. Like, maybe part Vaquero, like Spanish.
Yeah. And then they have other ones that are like more kind of like, this is one of my favorites in this book right here. This old guy right here.
Sam Elliott's twin right there, Chris Stubbs says.
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott doesn't hold a candle to these guys.
Well, Sam Elliott's family's all from Texas, but he was born in Sacramento, so that might have took some of the wind out of his sails for you.
I think it did.
Wow, look at that.
Then they'll have
they really look old, though.
They do, but that's the fact. Is like they may be 60, but they look 80 because just they're outside getting copious amounts of vitamin D.
I know, man. You know what's funny though is that you can respect those guys because, like, can you imagine them having a hissy fit? I mean, they're just like, well, we'll deal with it.
Yeah. All right, this is the last one I show you.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah.
How did you find that book, Jackson?
I think it was one of those. It's been so long because I've had that for a long.
He looks like the T-1000. Now, how many of those guys are vegetarians, Jackson? I'm just curious.
0.
How many of them are buying the Beyond Meat stock on the exchange?
0.
Life expectancy 50.
Here it
Kevin
is.
says.
Here's the link to it on Amazon.
That is so cool.
And this is not an affiliate link, so.
See, this guy knows that he's smart and he doesn't care.
Yeah. Yes. And look at his belt. Like, is not even in. He's got belts. He's got a belt and suspenders on.
Dude, it's so funny. I can hear my grandpa right now. Of course, Bradley. Look at his name. He's an Italian. He's a safecracker.
God, these guys are so good.
Ong Lee. Dude, he looks like he's into like Lopan's magic.
And this guy, look at this. This guy was just being a jerk. And look at what they wrote. This man refused to open his eyes.
He looks like a dwarf.
Yeah, but he's like,
hey, is that Willow?
But he refused to open his eyes.
What a jerk.
What a jerk.
You know, also though, that's risky business because back then they would have just took you to the back room and done something. Was there any body cam footage from this?
I'm guessing. Look at this guy, man. This guy. Man, his nose looks like hamburger meat. Look at that. Wow,
my God, dude. Look, wait. 1924.
That's a rough one, man.
Wait, is this NSW? Is that North South? Is this Australia?
Let's see. Walter Smith.
Sydney Justice and Police. So this is Australia.
Interesting.
So we already know. You know, my friend Sam, who lives in Manchester, he said, "Do you know why the UK has lower crime than the US?" I said, "No." He said, "Because we shipped all our convicts to America and Australia."
Yep. Oh man, I didn't realize there were so many of these.
Look at that guy.
This one's taken in a bathroom, dude.
These are all in Australia though. This is like a totally bizarre photo style in Australia. Is that urine on the ground? What is that?
I know. I was like, it's taken in a wet bathroom, bro.
Oh my God. Look at the writing though. That's like some Da Vinci stuff there. So that must be reversed.
Female fatale. Let me see. 35 vintage.
Remember for years they said Billy the Kid was left-handed because the negative was flipped? You ever know that? They were always saying Billy the Kid was a left-handed bank robber, etc. And then finally one day some guy's like, "Hey, look, the negative was flipped, dude. He's right-handed."
Look at these. These are even great.
It's so cool.
Ooh.
Look at the light in the background, though. She looks like a witch.
I know, dude.
Wait. What is it? Look at this stuff. Elizabeth Ruddy?
Man, she looks rough, bro. Oh my goodness, these amazing characters. Like, I want to go back. I'm totally going to go back and use some of these faces as characters in future decks.
Well, you should definitely do like a Charles Dickens book and have these people in it.
Oh yeah, like a Raven deck or something. That's Edgar Allan Poe, sorry, not Charles Dickens.
He killed her 3-week-old son. I mean, this is insane.
I'm not even reading.
I don't even want to read what they've done. Some of these women are a lot harder than the safecracker boy you had on the page.
Safecracker boy.
Look at that.
Man, that tintype sure does take a great pick, though.
I know. It's very different. The argument of film versus digital always goes down to like a megapixel one, and I'm like, dude, you're really missing the point. It's like saying that like Procreate feels the same as drawing on like tooth paper.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the same look. Yeah, dude, I'm not arguing like about the technical aspects of it, but you can't get a feeling. When I tell young people too, like, you can't quantify, it's an intangible. They're like, huh? It just has more pixels. Pearl McFadden, what a great name. Philomena Mary Best.
So see what I'm thinking here is, I think we should take this.
Let's do it, dude. I'm sold.
Let me see here. All right, can you email me? Can you email me that picture?
Of course I can.
Just so I've got a good high-res version of it.
Let me actually even... I have a high-res version of it. Here, let me see.
And you don't want a mugshot, though? You don't want the numbers in the bottom?
I don't think I want the numbers. Because that would be just... Where's my damn photo? Dude, I know I have it somewhere here. I will find it for you and I will send it over right now, boss. Let me see here.
And do I have permission to use it?
Oh, of course. Come on, man. You can do whatever you like with it. I'm sending it over to you right now. I got the damn TIFF for you.
Oh yeah, TIFF.
Let's draw a damn. You know this. A friend of mine named Julia Gagosha. She's like a glasses master. Like when people in Hollywood, like Mad Men or something, they want to do like period glasses. They call Julia.
That's cool.
And she'll like match like period glasses. She has an eyeglass store in LA, and she saw this photo of me years ago, and she's like, wow, it reminds me of my like my relatives who came from like Russia and like had like these kind of like immigration photos taken. She was like really into the photo. I sent it over to you. Let me know if you get it. she's like, yeah, it just has a vibe to it. That was my wife really, like she was experimenting with lighting and she asked, hey, you got to come and do this project. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I want it to look like really old. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
Got it.
That's a great idea, Jackson. I like it more than the other one, really. Bye, Matthew. This has been one of my favorite times. It's like my daughter asked me, she's like, I told her, I'm like, hey, I got to wake up at like 3 a.m. She's like, why? Are you sad? I'm like, no, I'm invigorated. What else are you going to be doing? Really? I mean, how often do you have times to work with a friend and master? So cool. I still have that jacket too. And the tie, actually.
Is it wool? It's a wool jacket?
Yeah. It's wool, dude. I love like tweedy wool fleck. I love fleck anything.
Uh-huh.
And then it's funny because I was like doing this like ancestry project and I found out that a lot of my ancestors came from Donegal,
Where they make
Ireland,
wool?
which is like this nether region of kind of Ireland. And like it's where that flecked wool kind of originated.
That's cool.
And I was like, I don't know. Is that just coincidence? Is it somewhere in DNA that someone like this? I don't know. We don't know. Yeah, still got the jacket, but not the hair. That's very true. It's very true. I'm gonna buy like an Andy Warhol wig, like the Fright wig, that silver wig. Andy Warhol had a comment about that. He said, if you try to make your wig look realistic, everybody knows it a wig. But if you make it look so fake, nobody even thinks about it. And it's so true. Everyone always tells me, wasn't that Andy Warhol's hair? I'm like, really? You think that's hair? I'm like, he's just so smart. It's like when I was in high school, I had a friend who was like really into stealing. And one time he drove up in Carlsbad, California with his truck, and he drove up, how like they would have like those soda 24 packs on the curb and it would be advertising a price.
Mm-hmm.
And they would put like a pallet of soda in front of the grocery store.
Yeah. So
Josh drives up in front of the store and he gets out of the truck. I'm like, what are you doing? And he loads the back of his truck with like 100 cases of soda. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, let's just drive off. And he just drove off. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you do something that crazy, no one will ever believe you're stealing it. They'll think you paid for it inside.
I'm going to try one
but
thing.
If you went in and stole a bottle, you'll get arrested.
I want to just draw on this a little bit. I love the photo, just having the photo there but I want to try it.
Looks great, dude.
I want to just try doing my thing with my engraving stuff just a bit, just because.
I want to print 1,000 of these cards and send them out to people.
I just want to try it with my engraving style, see what comes out.
It's sold. The other one will go into a file for a V2 someday.
That we find in the warehouse.
Absolutely. This guy's a hardened criminal. He's at least drank gin 3 times in his life.
Today. Drank 3 gins today.
Yeah. Do you like gin and tonic?
No, I don't like gin.
My wife, when she smells gin, she will just vomit. It just, for some reason, has that effect on her.
Yeah, I'm not a big gin fan.
Oh, Alfred Hitchcock was a massive gin drinker. I mean,
really?
He just drank gin all day long.
Him and Snoop.
Well, yeah, Snoop's mixing it up with some stuff. Hitch had it from the old country.
Is in England the old country for gin?
Yep, that's right. Even though Hitch was more than 50% Irish, but he's known as the quintessential Englishman. But it's interesting. He is from England. But it's interesting that I knew a guy named Henry Bumstead. This guy is the coolest guy. Look him up if anyone doesn't know who he was. He was a production designer in Hollywood. So he was Hitchcock's production designer and then became Clint Eastwood's production designer and then did Scorsese's production design.
Wow.
So if you watch like Unforgiven or something, Bumstead would have done all the sets and like the costume and just created the whole look. He's like the art director for these awesome movies like Vertigo, or Psycho. He did it. And Bumstead would come to USC and talk to all of us. He was an alum and he was like 90 and he was about 6'3", 320 pounds. He lived to be like 94 or something.
Wow.
Doctors probably said he was dead at 50, but he was the awesomest. He would give all of us kids his phone number and tell us to call him if we had questions. And he would tell stories about working with Eastwood and Hitch. And he said, I can still hear Hitchcock now. He'd pull up in his driver car next to me, and they'd roll down the window, and I would smell the gin and cigar. And he would say, "Hey, Bummy, see you tomorrow." He said, that was Hitch by the end of the day, and I'd have the set ready for him. I'm like, "Did he drink a lot of gin?" He's like, "Oh, yes, he did." And I'm like, "He could still direct movies that well?" He's like, "Well, yeah, the picture was already done. It had been storyboard every scene. He was just managing a project, really." Looks so cool, man. Thank you so much, Jackson, for getting in touch with me many years ago. It's just one of the cool things that's happened to me.
And I love. I'm not gonna forget about you. I love
Dude, I text Jackson and I say like, "Hey, bro, dude, just don't forget about me when you get back on vacation." Because Jackson, if you know him personally like I do, he's gracious. He'll answer the phone all the time. He'll get back to you. He won't flake. But then there's periods of disappearance where you will be working on Jackson and I are working on a few other top secret things, and you're working on something, and he'll be like, I'm sorry, man. I flaked out on it," and he'll just disappear. So you get kind of worried sometimes. You think, has he gone AWOL? Did he move to Alabama and go work security at a mall, or what's going on? Jackson ghosts you? No, he doesn't ghost. That's the problem. Like if he ghosts you, it's okay. But the mysterious disappearances are a little weird.
I love the passive
They're
aggressive.
understandable though.
Love it.
The number one comment about you, like, I was talking to Ethan Kovaleski, my friend, the guy who did Lepidopterist, and we were talking about you like 2 days ago. And I said, "Hey, I told Jackson about how like you messaged him and like you said you'd get back to him, but you didn't." And then I told Jackson, and he said, "Man, I feel like a total jerk." And Ethan's like, "No, it's okay. I follow all of his work religiously, and I just don't know how he gets that much done." That's always the comment about you. I don't know how he gets that much done. But I have to say that there is a spirit of Texas. I know Texas has changed a lot, but once you come to Texas, there is a spirit of, if you're not working, what are you doing here? Like what? There's just, I don't know what it is. It's like no one's saying that to you. Everyone's real polite, but you do feel the urge to do more with yourself. I don't know. It really is a spirit that I think I understand you more after living here. It looks so cool unfinished. It looks like I could be like a Michael Jackson backup dancer with the eyeliner there.
Yeah.
We should just leave it like that. Just like put the photo in and just have like eyeliner on me. Like with Prince's basketball uniform on. Shirts versus blouses.
Shirts versus.
Remember that?
Yeah. Is that from a Chappelle show?
Yeah, from Charlie Murphy. Remember when Charlie Murphy's like, "I know where you got that shirt. It sure in the hell wasn't the men's department." I heard Prince was very competitive with ping pong too, and he would challenge people to ping pong matches.
Wow, I like that.
And they said that he was just unbeatable.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
There's just certain people that are hyper competitive. Oh, who doesn't like Prince, man? I'm not making fun of Prince. Prince is freaking awesome. I love Prince. I mean, he's an underrated musical talent. It's interesting too, like when you would talk to people from Minnesota, they would say that he legitimately went door to door for Jehovah's Witnesses, even later on.
Really?
Actually, I have a Prince story that my mother worked with a woman who in the like late 80s was, I don't want to say groupie, but was like, like a band, like a roadie, like would follow bands around. She was a diehard Prince fan. And Prince, she got backstage after a show, and she went backstage with Prince, and Prince, like, they waited for him to come out of the dressing room, whatever. And there was like 2 or 3 other girls, and they all got in a limo and they went back to Prince's house in Los Angeles at the time. And they were waiting around, and then Prince like went upstairs, and then he came back down, you know, in like his night clothes, and he had the Bible. And they all thought that they were gonna like party and, you know, probably do whatever. But he came out and he read to them stories from the Bible. This is a true story, and I've heard it like in books too. But like, this is my mom, a woman that my mom worked with, and she said, yeah, dude, we were so bored out of our mind. We thought we were going to this wild party, and he read us to a Bible, and he talked to us and gave us like life advice, and then had the driver drive us home. Jackson's like, no comment on that one.
No comment, I guess. I'm in my...
Bye, Kevin. Have a good one.
I'm in my engraving mode here.
Yes. Well, that's good, dude. I like watching you work, man. You guys are going to love it when I move to Chattanooga. And like, I just camp out at Jackson's property that he's going to build the place on.
Come on.
And then we can use that as collateral for the bank to say, like, we got to get this guy off the property. We got to build. He's an arsonist. I'll show you his mugshot. This guy's an arsonist. You know, we had like an arsonist in our neighborhood in Santa Ana, and he was like lighting dumpsters on fire. And I had like a townhome, and we had a dumpster next to it. And one night that stuff just boom, like went up in flames, and we're like dousing it out. Yeah. So every night I got super paranoid, and I would like soak the trash. Like I would soak the whole dumpster and like wait there. I was just so PO'd, man. Like it was just like a dirty crime, you know? Like arson. Like I can't understand your point of view when you're an arsonist. When you tell me you're a bank robber, like, yeah, I get it. But when you're an arsonist, it's like, I don't know, do you just buy like a Weber grill and just light the starter? Just get a chimney and a Weber grill, and you can accomplish it, the same thing. Buy some Royal Oak lump charcoal and light it up, big boy.
Royal Oak.
Royal Oak. I love that bag, man. Like that, I look at that bag all the time, and I'm like, now that's a great card box. One
of my table players looks a lot like Royal. It's kind of got a Texas. My favorite table players deck from this year has a kind of a feel like that.
I go through the box. Jackson actually did send me the box of tobacco playing cards, and I have.
I did, and you were saying I wasn't gonna send it to you.
Yeah, of course I was saying that.
But I did,
because you weren't. And then like I sit and look at it, and like I see like some of the table players' influence, and it's like I like it as part of history. Like I look at the table players, and I look at my box of tobacco cards from Jackson, and I see, oh, that's cool. That was inspired by that.
I'm gonna show you this,
which I love. Like the Kent one is. I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite table players.
Where is it at?
Table players are some of my favorite Kings wild cards. You should do a table players bracket now.
That's a good idea.
Dude, get me in on that.
We've got 13 table players decks for next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're already finished.
Why don't we do like an Ace Fulton's table players?
Let's see here. Dunhill.
Hey, next year's the 10th anniversary of Ace Fulton's, bro.
That's awesome, dude. I call this in
the
group.
We'll do a Jackson Fulton's.
Where's this?
Canyon, Texas Casino.
I think this is the back design. Let me see here.
How do you manage all these files?
I don't. Here's the back design.
That is cool.
Let's see. And then where's the freaking... Here it is. Tuck.
Whenever I hear the word tuck, I think of Silence of the Lambs for some reason. Looks freaking fantastic.
I want to show you the cigarette case that I got it from. You know about that website, right? That cigarette website?
Yeah, of course, dude. You
the Russian
texted
one?
that to me like 2 years ago and told me that you couldn't get off of it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the museum. Let me see if I can. I wonder if I can.
And you warned me. You said the interface is so bad. You're like, dude, you're going to be clicking around forever.
I know. All you just click the button and it reloads. I want to see if I can. I wonder if I feel like I saved a picture of it.
Did you see the CEO of Philip Morris in the UK said cigarettes are bad. We should get out of the market. We're going to stop selling them. which like I thought like, well, you know, like CEOs, like obviously they have some. Yeah, that's it. That's the Kent.
That's the Kent one that I did. That was a couple months ago.
It's like when a CEO says that, you know, like it's like, are you moving on to something else? Because that's like you coming out saying, Jackson's horrible, King's Wild is trash, playing cards are bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe it's in here somewhere.
They're like, we're going to get out of the market of selling these.
Yeah, it's...
Good luck getting rid of Skoal in Texas. I've never seen people chew tobacco like since like the 80s until I moved to Texas.
Oh, man.
I was in San Antonio and like there was like 20 different instances where people were dipping, waiting at the stoplight. Dude, look at that, right? I mean, look at the text though, like on the blats. I mean,
yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, dude, I'm not going to get into the topic of it, but like I saw the funniest meme. Someone, Chris C. Dub says it puts the lotion on the skin, right? So I saw the funniest meme. I'm just going to tell you what the meme is, and it was Dr. Fauci, and it had him photoshopped on Buffalo Bill or whatever his name was from Silence of the Lambs. And
oh my God!
It puts the needle under the skin, or else it puts its mask back on. Dude, I lost it. Like, it's one of the only memes that I've seen in like the last 5 years that I stopped and I'm like, oh my God, dude, give the guy $1 million who made that, or woman, whoever made it. Because it looks so funny. It was like the worst Photoshop job. It was just his face on like that kind of balding mullet.
Yeah.
Like in his doorway, you know, when he opens the door.
Yes. And he's just like kind of leaning on the door frame.
Yes, exactly, dude. You know what's funny is like, I guess the production crew was going all around the Pittsburgh area looking for a house to film in, and so they would ring the doorbell, and then when you open the door, they would decide if they could use the house because they needed when you open the door, they needed a straight shot to the back of the house for like when he like hides. So
yes.
They were like ringing doorbells, and then they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, wrong number," and then they rang that doorbell, and they saw it, and they're like, "Oh, can we rent your house for a movie?"
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's in a town called, I think, Perryopolis, which is like 40 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. Looks so good, dude. Your engraving style though is unmatched. Like I've told the story a million times, but when I first saw the Federal 52s on Hollywood Boulevard, Dan Buck and I said, did a guy really draw that? Because like you don't really understand how money was made. Like you look at it and you're like, how was that made?
Yeah.
Right? Like we forget about engraving, we forget about plates. Was it just have you seen the original plates for old currency?
Yeah. It would be just a guy bent over like a hunchback, engraving on a copper plate that was the size of a bill.
And how many would have they had for a currency run?
Like one, well, I guess it just depends on the, like in modern times, you would have, the way that it would work is you would have a guy that was the portrait guy, and he would engrave the portrait. Then you would have a type guy that would do all the text. And they would each do, it was an amazing process. And they would each do separate plates, and then they would end up putting the plates together to make a master plate. Or like they would have to print multiple runs of each. So it was a very complicated process. But
what kind of ink would they have used?
Just like when they had like their own special ink, but it was just like black intaglio ink. Let's see if I can find a picture of somebody doing it.
It's fascinating. I think that I was reading also that like Andrew Dougherty invented like one of the modern playing card presses, like the way of printing playing cards. Like the patent was Andrew Dougherty.
That's cool.
And then they said that he invented the machine that die-cutted playing cards because before it was a room full of women that cut it with scissors.
Yep.
It puts the engraving on the face, or it doesn't get printed.
Like here's a good. This is a more modern But you see this guy, how he's kind of like hunched over this table.
It's like those guys that carve on rice.
Yeah. There you can see him with his little, and like all these guys have like back problems.
Oh, dude. I used to know a woman who worked at Disney, and she was telling me that they had a the tweeners.
Yeah.
She was telling me that they always had to have a psychologist on duty because like tweeners would snap after a certain time period. She said it was like a predictable time period, and they would just totally go mental.
Jeez.
I wonder if these engravers do too.
Oh. But you would rarely have, you never had somebody, at least in modern stuff, that would do the whole thing, because it was just, you'd have the type guy, and then you'd have the portrait guy.
So there wasn't a Jackson Robinson. Hey, if you ever go bust at King's Wild, you can just be an engraver. Don't they have a printing press in Fort Worth, I think?
Yeah, the treasure. I mean, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing has one of their huge plants in Fort Worth.
Yeah, you know what's funny though is that now you would just be working overtime because they just were running the presses.
Yep.
24/7.
25. I think it'd be awesome to be like, if I could somehow get into that, and like if they ever redesign the currency, to like somehow be a part of that.
Now that is thinking big.
I was at a. Well, I don't think it's that big of a thing. It's just, I just think that the machine of the way they do it is such that it's not going to not ever happen. I was at a, you know what, people that collect paper currency are called, it's the numismatic. They call it numismatic. And I was at a numismatic convention. So it was like a playing card convention, but it was for a convention of people that collect paper money. And I took my Federal 52 decks. It's like 2013, 2014, very early on.
Wow, where was this?
This one was just in Atlanta. And first of all, they ate up the Fed cards for sure.
Of course, dude. Did you like just retire after a day?
Dude, like I didn't know what to expect going to it, and I had me a little booth. I had a booth, and it was like this new thing that all these people that were very familiar with money and currency, they had been seeing the same images of all these same currencies the same way for years. And then all of a sudden you show them this new thing that has the familiarity of all the images that they've seen, but in a new way, and they ate it up. And I think, dude, I don't know. I think.
Do you remember what you sold? How many?
Dude, I remember I sold bricks. I sold bricks of stuff, and I sold bricks for like $350. It was crazy. And I think over a weekend, I think I made like, I don't know, like $8,000.
Oh my God, dude. And especially at that time, like you probably, did you have a child yet?
Yeah, I had Claire, but that was it. I was like, what?
You were like, man, I'm just going to retire now.
Yeah, well.
There's certain moments in your life, like where like, when you're just starting out and you get like, I remember like when the red and blue Ace Fultons came out, like they were like, we sold so many in a weekend that I looked at the check and I'm like, oh my God, dude, I am super rich. Like I'm going to go buy something tonight.
Yeah. But what was that? I was saying a story. Oh, when I was at this convention, this guy comes up to me, and he just sits at my booth looking at my cards and stuff for a while, and then he kind of looks up and he asks me, "Are you a Canadian citizen?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "No."
Like, yes, I am.
I said, "No, I'm not, sir." And he was like, "Man," but he worked for the Canadian Royal Mint.
Oh, what the heck?
And he was gonna, and evidently, I don't know much about coins and stuff, but in Canada they make lots of like one-off special edition coins. And he wanted me to design a Canadian coin, but because I wasn't a Canadian citizen, it kind of shot the idea down. But
yeah,
like,
but you're a Texan, so you're a citizen of the world.
Yes. And so, dude, this card's gonna be awesome, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
I know this is so much better. I totally agree with you.
So, and I just say that because like it can happen, I think, but it's just like they have a machine. Because I've heard stories of like, because I've talked to like the people at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, because they usually would usually have or like representatives at these kind of shows. And I remember I met a guy that had worked there for like 50 years as like a pressman. And they had an old spider press, an intaglio, a spider press like they used to print money on. And he was making prints and stuff. And he was like, yeah, it's kind of a thing of like the currency engravers, like that's like the NFL or like the pros. Like that's the big game. And you have to like start out as like an apprentice, which totally makes sense because that's that type of industry. But like you have to start out as an apprentice and you got to do like postage stamps for a long time. It's where you're engraving postage stamps or tax stamps and stuff like that. And then as you make the way up, then like there's like an elite crew that they put on like the currency teams or whatever.
Where are they located? Like, where is this office of engravers?
The Bureau of Engraving and Printing is in Washington, I think. Like the actual headquarters where they do this.
Mr. Rogers did an episode in the early 80s of where he went how postage stamps were designed. And he went, and it was like an older black gentleman, and he had started when he was like 16 as an apprentice, drawing for like the U.S. Postal Service.
Yep.
And they showed the presses that they printed the stamps on, and it was like similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah, these big spider presses.
It's amazing, dude. Like that would be so cool though. Like they should do like a limited edition King's Wild Money. I mean, that's not that far off. Well, they'll get rid of paper currency at some point.
Oh yeah, yep.
They don't want any money going unseen. It's so cool that you got into like the Federal 52. I mean, it's still one of the highlights of playing cards to me. It's so unique because also it's a skill that you can't just really copy.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of the engravers have feds.
I don't know.
You know, Obed Islas. He has like a framed. What do you call it? Like the print you had of the Fed. It's like a limited edition. Like it's like a panoramic kind of composition.
I don't know.
Like widescreen, 16:9.
I'm not sure.
It was like a print note of something. It looked like currency.
Oh, that's the
like
Art of Money Lost. That's what this thing that's behind me over here. Oops.
Maybe it's like a purple kind of color ink.
Oh. Yeah, it's these big prints that I did. These 3 educational notes from the 1880s that I did in ink.
Oh, he has one framed like in his office because he works as a financial advisor. So he's like
that's awesome.
Money manager, and he has one, and he was telling me that like he just loves anything with Fed that you do because of that. So there's all these people that are in these industries that are attracted to that too. Yeah, Dub says the Fed 52 changed the playing card game. Yeah, it did for many reasons. I think that was the beginning of Kickstarter for decks. That was the first time I ever even heard the word Kickstarter was Federal 52s. It was the first time I heard the name Jackson Robinson too, which just sounded like a famous guy's name. Like it wasn't Jack Robinson, it was Jackson Robinson. Right? I mean, is Jackson even a common name? I never hear the name Jackson.
It's more common now, for sure. But in kind of my generation, I never really met anybody named. I was actually named after my dad worked for this African American guy in this garage when he was a kid, when he was like 18, 19. And his name was Jackson. And it was this old black guy that was in this garage that was just really influential to my dad. I don't know much about him, but I just know like the general idea of the stories of this guy, and that's what they named me after, was this guy that he worked for in this garage.
That's cool. I was going to ask if you were named after Andrew Jackson.
Negative.
Well, no, then you would have just been named Hermitage.
Yeah, but my middle name, Barrett, was after William Barrett Travis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the Travis letter is one of the awesomest written documents in American history.
Have you ever read, was was it? I don't know if it was Travis or was it Sam Houston. I think it was Sam Houston. Have you ever? There's a museum down there at the downtown in Austin.
Bullock.
Yeah, but they've got the. I think they've got the letters from Sam Houston, like the call to arms for the Texas Revolution. But it's a letter. But it's an amazing. You should read it sometime. But it's like it's Sam Houston's. I'm 95% sure it's Sam Houston. It was his letter to everybody. It was like an open letter to everybody that was there, of like the call to arms for people to come together and rise up. And it's pretty amazing.
I don't think I've read it, but I definitely will. I mean, you know, when we look back at history, we typically like to look at people that we either wish we were like, or we see that we are like. We kind of see ourselves in people. And I've always been attracted to Sam Houston because I just love him. I read this book called Sam Houston and the Alamo Avengers, which is a great read. My neighbor actually gave it to me. And it's fascinating just seeing this guy, Sam Houston, who was kind of a failure. He was kind of like, he was an alcoholic. He had worked with Andrew Jackson and, done all this stuff. He was the governor of Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah, it's called the, let's see, I think it's called the Proclamation Sam Houston. I'll chat this in the YouTube channel.
Oh, that's so cool.
But like a good example of like that app that I was telling you about. This is a great example. Like I can click on it here and it's loading. See if it'll play. There we go.
Sam Houston, the former governor of Tennessee, had been named commander-in-chief and charged with forming an army. This broadsheet, from December 12, 1835, presents General Houston's impassioned call for volunteer troops. It concludes with the words, "Let the brave rally to our standard."
Yeah, that's
Proclamation of Sam Houston, Commander-in-Chief of the Army of Texas. Headquarters, Washington, Texas, December 12, 1835. Citizens of Texas, your situation is peculiarly calculated to call forth all your manly energies. Under the Republican Constitution of Mexico you were invited to Texas, then a wilderness. You have reclaimed and rendered it a cultivated country. You solemnly swore.
But it's a pretty cool. But that phrase, "Let the brave rally to our standard," I thought that was always a cool thing.
That old writing though is always like very urgent and very serious. Like I think people cared a lot more about things back then.
Oh yeah.
Sam Houston, the reason Houston, Texas. Yes, that's right. They sadly they chose that city to name it after Sam Houston. Sam Houston's awesome. There's like, he's listed as being 6'6". I mean, that's like if you look up Sam Houston height, it'll say 6'6" or 6'5.5". And then one of his actually his granddaughters, or one of his daughters, got married in Georgetown, Texas here, and they have her wedding dress and a thing. And there's a discrepancy over how tall he really was. So they said, like notes and stuff, like he said that he was 6'3" on everything. But then somehow Texans have invented that he was 6'6" because he was such a massive character. And
it doesn't surprise me at all.
They measured his crutch from the battle of, what's it called? The Battle of Santa Ana?
Yeah.
They measured the crutch and they found out that he's really 6'3", but it's still listed as 6'6".
Huh.
But 6'3" back then was like being 8 feet.
Yeah. The fact that they still had his crutch is pretty awesome.
I know. Yeah, they had his crutch, and he still has relatives, in Texas. He actually, his son, if you want to read a great speech, I wonder if you've read this, he had a son named Temple Houston, who was the first child born at the governor's mansion in Austin.
Huh.
And he became a lawyer, and he wrote this, if you're into law or like legal papers, he had this defense called the soiled dove defense. And if you read, I read it every year because it's one of the most amazing philosophical arguments ever for him as a lawyer. And you see the mind that he had. Look up the soiled dove defense. It's unbelievable. So Temple Houston was another great writer. Sam Houston's nickname was it Raven, and then also Big Drunk, because he lived with the Native Americans and he spoke their language, and then they even said, "Hey man, you just drink way too much." Like in Tennessee, like he's just hitting that bottle 24/7. I think his wife finally made him quit, and he gave it up in his 60s. Looks so good, man. You really get into a groove with the engraving stuff.
Yeah, I like
That's
it.
like a passion, your passion.
Mm-hmm.
Was Napoleon really 5'7"? I don't know. I saw his foot bath actually in New Orleans last month, and it was tiny. It looked like a Le Creuset pan that I would like do an egg in. Napoleon's just someone from history that's so disgusting to me. Like I don't know. Like there's very few people in history that rattle me like Napoleon. Like I would just like to lift him up like a baby and hold him. You know, just pick him up and put him on his back and just say, you know what, you're not going to take this place. No fighting, no hitting. Just hold him. And then he would just be real nice and stuff, and you'd go for a great dinner. What I think about Napoleon though is freaking Bill and Ted's. Remember, where else would Napoleon be? Waterloo.
Of course.
What did you do with Napoleon? The guy was a dick. When he's eating their freaking ice cream.
Yeah. I remember that.
He was 5'6". Napoleon was 5'6".
All we are is dust in the wind.
Yeah, when someone asks what's my favorite philosopher is, there you go. Freaking Bill and Ted.
Yeah. Socrates, man. Socrates.
So it's one of the best movies of all time.
It is. It's such a great movie.
You know a funny story is I was living in Phoenix, Arizona when that was filmed, and it was filmed in a mall called Metro Center, which is now like, actually it's a closed mall. They're going to demolish it, but it was like the hippest mall ever in the 80s. And I was there with my mom, and we were going to Captron World of Nintendo.
Yes.
Remember those stores?
Yep.
They had one in this mall, and like I think it was like around the time, like I forget what game was coming out, but we were going there, and they had part of the mall, the food court area, like roped off, and I saw a guy dressed in like an Old West outfit, and they were filming that like Billy the Kid and like the ice rink scene.
Yes, and you saw it?
Yeah, they were filming it that day, and like I was a kid, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Why is it closed off? And then my mom said, I think they're filming a movie, and I remember seeing them in the costumes, like by the hot dog on a stick place. In that, and then like the movie didn't come out for like years. I think it was like shelved by distributors, and people said it would never do anything. So I think it came out 2 years later, and I saw the movie, and I'm like, oh my god, the answer to the riddle.
What were you doing in Arizona?
Oh, dude, I lived. My dad worked for GTE.
Okay.
In Phoenix, Arizona. So I spent a lot of my childhood in Scottsdale, Arizona. We've had family in Arizona for quite a long time, and still do. Actually, I have an uncle that lives in Jerome, Arizona. And if I told stories about my uncle on here, you'd be demonetized and canceled immediately. And yeah, dude, I love, but you know, you got to remember also back then it was like Phoenix, Arizona and Southern California were kind of the same place. I mean, it was really a similar kind of people and vibe and everything. It was just, Phoenix, Arizona is awesome. I mean, now it's like LA part 2. I mean, it's just massive. I mean, back then it was a small town. Yeah, that's why my daughter's named Phoenix. It's because of my affinity for the city of Phoenix, Arizona, which my wife hates. My wife just, she just gets sick in the face when I say, man, let's just take a trip to Phoenix. I want to see. She's like, she's like, Houston's a better city than Phoenix. I'm like, no. Texans hate Houston too. Like, you can say anything you want about Houston, and any Texan will agree with you in 5 seconds. That's how to win friends in Texas. It's just badmouth Houston.
Yeah.
But you can't say anything about Fort Worth or San Antonio, or Texans will get mad.
Yeah.
We saw Napoleon's tomb in Paris. I guess supposedly Napoleon's genitals were preserved, and they're in a private collection. You can look it up and read about it. Have you seen that?
You know, the ironic thing is I'm watching the show on HBO, and I'm not kidding you, they literally make a joke about that, and I watched it yesterday.
Are you kidding?
No, it was about this. It's called Successor, and it's about like this billionaire family that own like a media conglomerate, and the whole show is just about, there's like 6 siblings and the dad that owns the conglomerate, and I can't remember the guy's name. That you know who he was though. He's like the owner, and one of the sons, like the oldest son, that's definitely not going to be getting the business, is like this like half-baked kind of guy, and he's out there, and he lives in Santa Fe or something like that,
Oh, yeah, that's perfect for him.
And he's talking about how he's in an auction. He's in an auction. He's like for antiquities, and he has an auction, and they joke, and he's like, one of the things that I'm bidding on is Napoleon's penis.
Oh my God, dude! I looked up a picture of it, and it's like there's a discrepancy, of course, whether it's real or not or what, but it's supposedly it is. I don't know.
Yeah, and they were talking about how like one of the surgeons, or I don't know, dude, but it's just funny and ironic that how ironic thing is that how specific that is, and that you said something about it, and I watched something yesterday about it.
Dude, I swear to God, I always say to people, there's this like unified field of information that somewhere exists out there that we sometimes tap into.
It's the glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, it's something. It's like Edgar Casey said, the unified field of information.
Huh.
I believe it exists. I do. I just have so many weird experiences like that where you can't just say, oh well, it's coincidence. I don't know. There's something to it. I don't want to say psychic. I don't really believe in psychics. So, but I don't know. But that's interesting. But when you say Santa Fe, that just totally hits me. Like I always when we visit Santa Fe, I always say to my wife, who in the hell lives here? It's like rich people live there, but why would you pick Santa Fe over why not even like Florida or somewhere? I don't understand Santa Fe. And I like it there. Trust me, dude, like to visit, but to move, like if I won the lottery, that's the last place I'm telling you I'm moving to. It's beautiful, dude. I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of depressing to live there. A lot of artists through history have loved Santa Fe, Gerard, the textile designer, and of course George O'Keeffe, and different Ansel Adams was really attracted to Santa Fe and was going to move there, but I don't know. You've been there, right?
Yeah, I actually have thought about living there once.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
See, and I love it, dude. Like, it's funny too. Like, I'm saying this, but the first time I went there, it was snowing, and it was on my birthday in March, and it was magical. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to live here. And then 2 years ago, we drove to Santa Fe, and it was like the end of the world, dude. There was a bum beating his dog in the square. There was just hustling going on, and it was just filthy. And there was a guy tracking me on a trail, he was gonna hit he's gonna ambush me for drug money. I'm like, I'm done with this place, man. And you feel like you're all alone. You just feel like if you cried for help, George O'Keeffe would laugh.
George O'Keeffe is originally from Canyon, the city I grew up in. I mean, is she really? She was a professor at the college that I went to just for a time there, but she spent some time in Canyon.
Wait, was she originally born in Texas though? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I know that she spent some time in Canyon because she was I'm pretty sure she was a professor at the college there at West Texas State. But
That's interesting.
It's now West Texas A&M.
I know that in Breaking Bad, Jesse, the dope fiend, takes a trip to Santa Fe and goes to the George O'Keeffe Museum. Huh. That's what I know about George O'Keeffe. And I do know that my favorite museum in Texas, the Amon Carter Museum of Western Art in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas, they have some George O'Keeffe paintings that I glance at and then skip by and then go look at the Frederick
Do you like
stuff.
Museums?
What's that?
Do you like museums?
I love museums, man. I love Western art, though. That's my thing.
If you ever get a chance to go to Canyon, south of Amarillo, Canyon has the largest historical museum in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like this huge museum that's in this little town. But it's one of the largest historical museums in Texas.
Is it better than the Bullock?
Oh yeah, well I think it is, but I grew up there and I have a lot of nostalgic for it.
Oh, that's fascinating, man. I will absolutely go there, and I will probably end up passing through there someday for sure.
Go see Cadillac Ranch and then go see.
Cadillac Ranch is a trip, dude. I mean, you telling me stories about the guy, and
the
then
Toadstool game. It's called
Stacy Franklin telling me stories about the guy.
It's called the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum. They got this.
I wonder how they funded that, though. How do they finance that? I mean, there must not be that much revenue coming in there.
I don't know, but they've got this. You ever see There Will Be Blood and stuff, those big.
Oh yeah.
They've got an actual reconstructed version of that, of one of those rigs on the front. There's this main room. Let me see.
Dude, it looks like so professional. Like it looks like a crazy museum, and I've never heard of it.
Let me see. But I remember going there as a kid.
Have you been to the Amon Carter in Fort Worth?
Uh-huh. Like this is and they've got a windmill collection that's amazing. Like look at this, like they have this big room in the front that's got a huge oil rig in it.
What's that painting there with the bison?
Let me see to go back. I'm not sure.
It looks so cool, man. I gotta go there.
But they've got like a whole, then they've got this whole section. Look at this. They've got a whole section. Let me see if I can get a picture of it. Looks like not a very good website. Let's see here. See this windmill over here? They've got like a whole room of just these huge windmills. And when I say huge, I'm saying like wooden windmills that are like 20 feet in diameter.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they've got an automobile section. They got the windmill section. Here's the front of it right here. Of course, none of these websites.
What do you think of the name, the Panhandle? I like how they have the recreation of the filling station.
Yeah. The Panhandle, I mean,
what do you think of the name Panhandle?
I mean, it's just the shape of the state, just like the Panhandle of Oklahoma.
But is it like do you like the term? Is it like bootleg and panhandle? I mean, is it?
No, it never bothered me, but it's not necessarily like I'm a panhandler. It has more to do with like the shape of the state.
Yeah, I know what it's from, but it's interesting though, because my neighbor, like when I asked him where he's from, he said, where he's from near you, he said he's from the Panhandle.
Yeah, that's what we.
That's funny, a panhandler. I can just see you now in Chattanooga.
Yes.
What do you notice about people in Chattanooga compared to Texas? As a Texan, what do you see?
I think there's a lot of similarities to the people here in Tennessee, because there is Tennessee, especially East Tennessee. There is definitely more kind of like state pride than in other states that I've seen. Which I like to, and I'm drawn to, and I like. It's very similar. It's more rednecky, I guess you could say, just because we're more in the South. In Texas, even though it was part of the secession, I don't consider. Like if you ask a Texan, is Texas part of the South? They say no, Texas is Texas.
You know what though? I had this argument when I moved here. Like my friend is like a planner, and he's really obsessed with geography, and he always said Texas is just Texas, it's its own thing. It's not the South. It's not, depending on the region. But most Texans I've talked to that are legitimate Texans have said that they are Southerners, plain and simple, and they identify as Southerners.
Yeah, see, I never thought that way. I think
you're also from West Texas.
I think it's a regional thing. I think the farther west you got, so like if you're in West Texas, which is like Midland, like the actual West Texas, like Midland, the Permian Basin, that kind of stuff.
Or like El Paso.
Yeah. Or if you're in the Panhandle, which was also called West Texas, I think regionally those people would be like, no, we're not part of the South. We're part of Texas. And I think I can
believe that.
Because I think a lot of the Panhandle stuff, like where I grew up, is that whole area is where Texas got its, like, frontier mentality, because that was the frontier. Like where Austin is and stuff like that, yeah, maybe not so much, but like the Panhandle is like where, that's where the Comanches were at, and that's where like people, like it was a fight to survive, and that's where the Texas Rangers came in and stuff like that, and were protecting. I'm going to say protecting, halftime, slaughtering, but the Panhandle is where that frontier mentality came from, was just, trying to survive against the Indians.
I think so too. It's also like when you go to Fort Worth. I mean, Fort Worth people don't consider themselves Southerners. People in Fort Worth, they say that that's where the West begins, and Dallas is where the East begins.
Yep. And I think it's a regional thing.
Houston or Beaumont, I mean, that's this freaking South. Like my neighbor's from Beaumont, and she's like a deep South, really cool lady, like has like a really is a real Southerner.
Yeah, because like even like me, like where I live now in Tennessee, and also like in East Texas, like the closer you get to like Louisiana and such, you get that kind of like Texas, Texas twang drawl type thing. But like where I grew up, I mean, you don't really notice. I mean, there's some times where you can notice like a Texas, accent with me, just like more of just like the vocabulary that I use, like fixin' and y'all and stuff like that. But I don't think that I've got like a Southern drawl, like how you got going on down there now.
Down there.
Down there,
It's true. And then if you think about like Arizona, or like anyone I know from like legitimate Arizona or California, it's a very like similar, devoid of accent. I guess people would say, even though we have an accent, I guess everyone does, but it's like devoid of it. And like Arizona, New Mexico, Arizona, and California don't have, an accent per se.
Yeah.
But then, so West Texas, yeah, I would believe you don't. When I think of West Texas, I always think of this town that I always hear about that I've never been to, is Odessa and Midland.
Yeah, dude, that's West Texas. I got family there, bro.
Yeah, we have a neighbor from Midland, I think.
Yeah, Midland and Odessa are basically like twin cities. They're right beside each other.
Yeah, it just seems like I don't know why I would ever drive out there, if you know what I mean.
Bro, out there is like, I mean, that is the desert of Texas, bro. There's nothing out there but oil.
Well, it's like Marfa. I mean, it's like people say you should take a trip to Marfa. I'm like, no.
Marfa's. People that are from Texas do not care about Marfa.
Absolutely. It's like people who come from all over the U.S. that like were in Berkeley in the 60s go to Marfa because it's got this kind of vibe.
And it's got, what is that? It didn't have like a Versace or something.
It's Prada.
Yeah, Prada. It's so stupid.
It's an art installation. It's like to show you something, I don't know, some deep meaning I'm sure you vomit at, but it's like a Prada store built in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, dude. I passed through there when I was like driving from California to Texas, and I did not stop. I just got gas and was done. Marfa. I drove through El Paso and I was like, oh man, El Paso looked like Phoenix, Arizona to me. Like it did not look like Texas.
However, they got the Marfa lights there, man. The UFO sightings.
Yeah, I watched a Day Tripper episode about that. They were like trying to explain it.
The Day Tripper.
That's a great show. Do you ever watch that?
Yeah.
But you know what, dude? After watching like all the episodes, like I watch it with my kids and I'll joke with them. I'll be like, okay, girls, what's going to happen? And my kids all say, he's going to find a swimming hole. He's going to find a town square and a courthouse. He's going to have a beer and he's going to have barbecue. And you know what? That's it. That's every Texas town. Right?
Well, basically.
Yep. A courthouse and a square, like a square, shops around it, somewhere to get beer, a swimming hole.
If it's a wet county.
Yeah. Well, is there dry counties in Texas?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's places where you can't get beer?
Yeah, Cleveland just became a wet county. Like Bradley County, where I'm at, just became a wet county like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Wait, hold on. Where you live in Cleveland, you couldn't get beer?
There's no liquor stores.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Well, it's like in Texas, dude. It's like, okay, so this is totally illogical.
That's the way, sorry to interrupt you, but that's the way Canyon was. We had to drive to, I mean, I didn't drink when I was a kid, but you'd always have to drive to Amarillo to get your beer. You had to go to the Buffalo Chip, which was the beer store that was right across the line, the county line, out of Randall County into Potter County, because Potter County was a wet county, so you had to drive across the county line to the Buffalo Chip and get your beer, get your Keystone Lights.
That's
and
a great name, though.
Your rack of 30 Keystones.
But you know what? Stuff like that to me doesn't make sense. It's all semantics. It's like I didn't know because, I'm a Californian, so you can buy freaking, I don't know, you can buy vodka at Costco if you want. And I'm like going into like HEB and we were like cooking something. My wife was making a batter and she needed a beer. I don't really drink beer. So I'm like going in there and I buy it and the guy at HEB, he's like, I'm so sorry, sir. I can't bring you up for this. I'm like, why?
It's
he's
not,
like,
it's not past noon.
11:45 on Sunday.
Yep. Yeah, they'll have.
He's like, can you wait 15 minutes?
They have some places that have like these little something I've noticed here that I didn't notice back in Texas. Excuse me, but they'll have like, I've like seen like these like roll up curtains, you know, like that wicker Roman shades thing that you put on like a porch that you roll up and it's like just like slats of grass or whatever.
Yes, I totally know it.
They've got those over the beer places, and like they have them rolled down until noon.
No, and what do you think about that? What's your thought on it?
I think it's ridiculous and stupid, but it's funny now.
It's like in Utah where they have those things called Zion curtains where they wheel out like the curtains so like people can't see that you're getting a drink.
Yeah, but that's more but it's funny that just all those like cultural and religious blue hair laws, that's what they call them in Texas, the blue hair laws. That's what they call them, the blue hair laws. And
it's funny though because like I was joking around to my daughter and she's like, why do they have that closed, that area? And I said, because somehow God doesn't mind if you drink at 1 p.m., but he's really upset if you drink at 9 a.m.
Yeah. Well, you'd be amazed
or
at
if you
all
had stocked your garage full like a month earlier.
You'd be amazed at all the blue hair laws. If you just like Google blue hair laws, you'll get all kinds of fun stuff.
It's
Dude,
so
look at this.
It seems anti-Texan too. Being Texan is all about it's your choice.
Yeah, but you gotta play into that fact that kind of like fundamentalist Southern Baptist, you know, fundamentalism is deep rooted in Texas too.
I just don't understand what it has to do with religion. I mean, like I don't know. It's like if you're an alcoholic and you need to drink all the time, you have like deeper issues than the time that you buy alcohol. You need like more than that. And then people that vote for the laws probably maybe don't have that problem. I don't know. It just seems so ridiculous to me. It's not even funny. Well, like, you know, during the pandemic, it's like liquor stores were considered essential businesses. And then the governor said, well, we don't want people detoxing in hospitals. We need the beds for COVID. Well, that's an essential business. I get, you know, I don't know. But then you can't buy it at a certain time.
Well, like I follow this guy. I hope I don't get flagged or anything, but I follow this guy that's in Canada. And just the stuff that's going on in Canada right now is crazy with like the lockdowns and stuff like that. And he's just like he owns like a gym. He owns a gym and like, they had locked down his gym and stuff so that he just meets in his backyard. And all of his people just come to his backyard and the police come every day and write him a citation. And he's like, why, you know, he's just like, why are you doing this? Why are they doing this? Because like, you know, people can't sit here and exercise and be healthy, which is going to make their immunity better and all that kind of stuff. But just right across the street is like a liquor store and a farmer's market that are open and people can, you know, they can pack as many as they want in there and blah, blah, blah. But yet the cops come every day and write him a ticket because he's, you know, continuing to do his, you know, gym outside, and he's doing his best to like make it as safe as possible because he's doing it outside, you know, all this. It's crazy.
It's like in California, they had, you know, liquor stores and strip clubs were open, but then churches couldn't be open under the law. So there was a pastor somewhere in like the Valley of LA, and he was saying like, okay, I'm going to open my church up as a strip club, and I'm going to take my jacket off during the service.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
Then,
like,
you know, he could do it, and he was fine. I'm an anti-enforcement. I just don't like authoritarianism. I don't like really any politicians at all. I just don't care about them. I just don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
I like personal responsibility. Like if I do something stupid, I have to deal with the consequences. I don't need to cry to people about it. That's my fault.
Yep.
That's just my personality. I'm just a free spirit, like do what you want as long as it's not, you know, sick or illegal or damaging. But, you know, if you want to go to a store, go ahead. If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing now is like now other people are telling me what is sick and you know, dangerous or whatever.
Yep. I know. I listened to a guy talk who owns a computer repair shop in New York City, and he was saying that, you know, now New York City is telling him that he has to ask every customer that comes through the door to show their vaccine card. And he said, no, I'm not going to get involved in that because like I've already lost half my business. So I'm not going to enforce people's Like, I'm just not going to ask anybody. Like, everyone that works here is vaccinated. Like, that's our responsibility, but I'm not going to get involved in people's medical histories because I own a store. Like, I'm not going to offend business people because, like, I'm going to lose business.
Yeah. Well, my video is already flagged, so we might as well just go ahead. Might as well talk about it now anyways.
I don't think so. Brad's a rebel. You can tell by his mugshot. It's true, though. I don't know about a rebel, but I've just always been a free thinker. I'm like, my personality is, I'm very laissez-faire. Like, I'm like rattlesnake like, where like I just want to be left alone.
Absolutely,
and
dude.
Hang out there. But if you put a stick underneath the wood shed there, I'm gonna bite. It's just the way I am.
You're a Texan now.
Yeah. Well, I've always, that's why I came to Texas, was because I wanted.
But you came to the wrong place in Texas.
That spirit, and that was the spirit of old California too. Though that's what I like to tell people is like, California was like the Old West. It was a lot of miners people. Like, my mom's family was in Redwood City in 1880, and we have this book where they're telling stories about finding a revolver with 3 notches in it. And my great-great-great-great-grandpa sold it to his barber because he had no use for this historical revolver. But this is what California was like, and I just like to be left alone. That's it. That's what I loved about Texas. Well, the historical Texas, the ethos of Texas.
Then you moved to Austin.
Well, I did not. I moved to Williamson County, but it's the same thing, really. It's just, I don't know. It's people love to be told what to do. People love it.
Oh yeah.
I'm just a free spirit guy. If you want to drink whiskey at 8 a.m. on a Sunday, you can do that. Now, you might be ruining your life if you're doing it constantly and you're an alcoholic, but if you just want to do it, that's fine. I can't really enforce that. I can't change you.
Speaking of that, it's funny, like, the guys at work give me a hard time. Because, like, I'll go to the office, like, after I'm done today, I'll go up to the office, and then I want to have, like, a glass of whiskey or something, and it's, like, 10:30, and they're like, it's not even lunchtime yet, Jackson. I was like,
wait, in the morning when you go to the office?
Yeah. And they're making fun of me because, like, it's only 10:30. I was like, shut up, dude. I've been up for like 8 hours already. I've been working.
Hey, aren't you in Tennessee? I mean, that's weird that anyone would think that's weird.
Oh. Hey, there's Tim. Tim, my photography video guy's on here. Play ping pong.
That's good work. He retracted his message. He had a controversial message there about playing ping pong. We got flagged because of Tim.
Oh yeah, Tim's. Yeah, it's Tim's ping pong. There's Jacob Fresh too. This my other guy. I got all my guys working here. Tim Ivy and Jacob Fresh both work for me.
Tell me about your whiskey in the morning. I want to hear this story.
I get a glass, and I pour whiskey in it, and I put it in my face, and it's before noon.
How much whiskey?
I don't know. A couple of fingers. I don't know. Not every day.
Good.
Yeah, we have a whiskey shelf at the office.
Why not?
Yeah, it's my business.
It's your business, man. You can engrave if you want.
I can what?
You can engrave if you want.
Yes.
It's your pen. You can engrave if you want. You cannot engrave. It's up to you. I try to teach my kids this. Like, I tell them, like, I give them examples of, like, just life and work ethic. And I tell them, like, if you're down on your luck, you can go to Rudy's Barbecue and you can get a job starting as like a brisket cutter. Mm-hmm. If you work really hard and you start coming in an hour early and you start learning management duties, you can become the manager. So you can infinitely increase your pay by learning more skills and putting in more hours.
Yep.
I tell them this now at like 4 or 5. My daughter's like, okay, but I just get it in their head that, like, you have a lot of opportunities if you want to make them.
Well, it's like what I was saying a while ago. Like, if you got up 2 hours earlier and worked, or stayed up 2 hours later and worked, whether you're an night owl or a morning person, at the end of the year, that's an extra month of time that you could have spent working on something. And I say that,
it's amazing,
especially for like people that are in a job, that they don't like and they want to do something else, but they don't, like, they want to do a side hustle or something. Like, okay, you gotta. It's that 2 hours earlier or 2 hours later. You gotta get it from somewhere. But if you do it consistently, at the end of the year, you've spent and you've had an entire month of work time on your side hustle. You know, if you want to try to get out of what you're doing that you don't want to do.
It's inspirational, and it's like you inspire, like, you know, your comment, always waiting for someone else. These things are inspirational, and sometimes we all just need a little reminder. And it's not just like, oh, work more, blah blah blah, but like, be fulfilled. Like, the more things I do, the more fulfilled I am.
Yeah.
It's really true. Like, when you have like a passion, it fulfills you.
Yep.
Like, I used to live by this mall called South Coast Plaza. It's like one of the greatest malls ever. It's in the middle of Orange County, and the owner, they were farmers. They had a farm, and then he got the idea to put a mall when they were putting freeways through. So everyone said he was nuts. It was never going to work. But Henry Segerstrom built the mall, and it's like a regional, you know, it's like an international mall. People fly to come to this mall. I mean, it sounds crazy, but he had like the Field of Dreams, you know, like it was a field. They were like growing lima beans is what they grew. Just California farmers, and now it's a big mall in the middle of, you know, the 405 freeway. And my friend had been like a maintenance guy for the Segerstroms for like 50 years, Dennis. And Dennis told me, I said, hey, what can you tell me about Henry? What can I learn from his work ethic? And he said, Henry slept like 4.5 hours, like 5 hours a night. And I'm like, really? Why? He's like, because Henry had things to do. He always like woke up with something to do. I need to fix the roof today. I need to hire a new licensing guy, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why such little sleep? And he said, do you think you can accomplish what he did sleeping 12 hours a day?
Yeah. You gotta be willing to do what the 90% of the world is not willing to do.
You always say that. You always say that if there's someone out there doing something that's off or weird, they're someone you should look to. Oh, like, how about this? Playing card subscription service. It's like one of the most insane things. If you would have told me that during like the smoke and mirrors invention era, like someone one day is going to do a subscription service, I'd be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Never will work.
One of these guys,
right?
Yeah, one of these guys that I follow, I think it's got some foul language in it, but I'm gonna see if I can find it. I follow this guy. Let's see if I can find it. But he has this video clip. Let's see. But it talks about like a lot of times people are so worried about fitting in or, you know, going about the same thing. But like if you want to be at the top, he's talking about if you want to be at the top of your game, you're gonna have to be okay with a lot of people not liking you because you spend so much time obsessing over it.
Very true.
His name is David Goggins. Let me see if I can find a YouTube clip of it. Let's see here. David.
Well, there's an ex-Navy SEAL guy that says the same thing. Basically, his name is Jocko.
Yeah, him and Jocko are like best friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jocko's inspirational, where he talks about like how he wakes up at 4:30 and like exercises. He had a great message about it.
Yeah, and this guy's very similar thing. Let me see. I want to find the specific.
Well, Jocko said something interesting. He's like, I'm not saying get less sleep. I'm saying go to sleep earlier. Don't sit on your iPad and click on clickbait all night, because that's all you're accomplishing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 75% of the time I go to bed like 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, same here.
Let's see. I want to see this one. He's got so many motivational clips that it's hard. And he talks about balance, and I really agree with him on a balance. Like, people always say, I got to find balance in my work and leisure time. And he's like, if you want to be just like everybody else, then you go find balance. And he was like, but if you want to be at the top and the best, you've got to be not balanced at all.
Well, see, I want to be like a great dad. So like, I really do just take time where I do nothing but hang out with kids and take them to parks and take them to an ice cream shop and sit and ask them what they think about things.
All right, this is it. I'm gonna get demonetized from this video anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and show it anyways, because I think it's a great clip. I think this is it. And I think it's got some foul language, so just warning. Let's see here.
What do you think is the biggest stumbling block that most people face with this kind of journey?
Honestly, is they have the woe is me mentality. It's too hard.
I don't like this.
Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left and you look to your right and you start to judge yourself off other people. Like if you're a female, well, she's skinny and she doesn't work out as hard as I do. And everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue.
I don't want to watch this whole version of
I
this.
love the walking right there. You know, it's like when I was a kid, we had a magnet with like Jesus' footprints in the sand. I think and a Bible verse on it.
Yep, I'm gonna find the clip. I got suckered in. Let's see here. But 90% of his videos are him running, and he's looking to the side, yelling at you, or like talking to those whoever's recording it.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Well, if that were Jackson, he'd just get a drone. He'd fly the drone himself.
Let's see. I'm gonna find this part. I really like it.
You know what video YouTube suggests to me over and over and over again? You're gonna love this.
What?
How to build a fence. King's Wild.
Heck yeah, dude. That's one of my most watched YouTube videos.
Dude, I mean, I've already watched the dang video, but it like suggests it over and over again, and it's got that clip. It's got that picture on the front of you, like bending over, hammering something. I'm like, YouTube, I've already watched this video. I'm not gonna click not interested. You already know I am, but I just don't need to watch it every morning. I love those old videos you did with like a chicken coop and stuff. Like I would watch those all.
Let me see here.
Maybe now you're too busy to do that stuff. I don't know.
Let me see where this is at.
Up at 1:30.
Try that in. So morning, I need the morning time. I'm gonna run 7 miles this morning. I need 52:30 for that. Roger that. Put in shit, shower, shave. Add that in. So the schedule dictates, but I have all that time.
Just push it back, right? So if that means getting up at 1:30.
Trust me.
Roger that.
I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Several.
How much sleep
times.
do you usually get?
I like getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Nowadays I can do that. But there's times where the schedule says, hey man, you're getting 3 hours. And if that's the case,
right.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Wait, where is it?
That's right.
But guess what? Right now, it's easy. For good times.
Let me find the part. I still haven't found the part, and I'm sorry I'm wasting much time on this, but let's see here. Let's see. I'm just trying to read the copy.
Like they call it 1 hour fuels, 2 hour fuels, 10 hour fuels, 10,000 hour fuels. You want that thing to boil over and catch a nice big log. It's gonna burn a long time. And that big log starts catching everything on fire. This is your soul. So motivation a lot of times can be fucking just put some water on it, puts it out. That motivation needs to turn into drive, passion, obsession to what you want to become. And once you become obsession or driven, it's a fucking inferno. So now you got to call in tons of firefighters and call in for help for here, calling for help from there. And they're not putting that shit out. Only thing that can take that thing out, it's got to burn itself out.
Look at his face, dude.
But obsession is self-generated. You
100%.
can't will
He's gonna
another person to become
spontaneously combust.
obsessed.
Not at all.
That has to, be something that is cultivated from deep inside yourself.
Deep
And
inside
most people never experience what it's like to be obsessed. And I think we put a negative label. Label on obsession. Oh,
hell yeah.
He's obsessed.
No, to me, it's a daggone, it's a compliment. It's a compliment, man, to be, and a lot of times it can fuck you up. It can ruin your life. You can be obsessed, but I'll tell you one thing. If you want to be great, you want to be the baddest motherfucker ever at what you do, you could be misunderstood by everybody because you're going to be so fucking obsessed and so driven to get there. That's what it takes.
That's the truth.
It takes every second of your fucking life. Anybody says balance? Yeah, balance is important for a lot of fucking people. It is. But if you want to fucking go to that edge where people do not like you, don't understand you, question everything you fucking do, you've arrived. When you are misunderstood to the point where fucking people think you're psycho and you're nuts and you're this and that, why are you in the fucking gym at 1 o'clock in the fucking morning? You just got through doing an op.
Sorry about the language.
For fucking 13, 14 hours after Ranger School, man, at the gym. What's wrong? You will never understand what is wrong with me. And that's why I'm so fucking glad you don't. Because I'm in the right fucking spot. When people don't understand you anymore, you're in that spot of obsession and drive. Where people are like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I don't want to talk to you, man, because you're not going to get it. It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
That's it, man. You have to change the dialogue within your head. And one thing I guarantee you, there's some stat out there about January 1. All that kindling that you started, all that motivation usually burn out by about 10 to 12 days later. So let's see how far you can take that shit. Let's see if you can get a fucking
That is a
inferno
challenge
going.
from Goggins to you.
All right, sorry about all that language, but I love that. I love that little speech that he does.
That's very interesting. He's like, he scares Kobe Bryant, I think.
Oh yeah.
He's got that Kobe mentality. Where like Michael Jordan one time said like Kobe Bryant would be texting him at like 3 a.m. Like, what did you mean when you said this? And it would be like some old quote. And he's like, Michael Jordan would be like, man, I don't got time for this. What are you doing texting me at 3 a.m.? And then he's like, Kobe would call me at 6 a.m. You didn't get back to me.
Well, it's like, and I always hear that about like, you know, and going back to the whole thing that I talk about sometimes where it's like, it's a numbers game. Going back to that pottery class story that I talk about. Like, it's just a numbers game. Like, if you take people like Andy Warhol or Pablo Picasso, or I mean, and I'm just naming those two because I know specific examples of those guys. Like Pablo Picasso had like, what was it? Like, he's got like, out of Pablo Picasso's body of work, he's got like 12, 13 paintings that are like the works of art that he's known for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he has like a catalog of something ridiculous, like
very true,
like 15,000 paintings, and he's only really known for about 15. The same thing with Andy Warhol. I remember, you know, reading about Andy Warhol and about like after when he died, they went into his place and like, you know, went through all the stuff, and he had like 5, 6, 7,000 paintings or pieces of work that he had done that were just sitting there, stacked up, that he never released. And
when Andy died, the people who worked at the factory ransacked his place and stole it all and sold it.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's just a numbers game, and for me, like that's what drives me is like, you know, going back to that 10,000 hours, the numbers thing or whatever. Just like I want to go through the numbers as you know as well and as fast as I can. And I don't want to live by that, you know, your last game is your best game mentality, because I want my next game to be, I don't know, next week or next, you know, in the next couple of days.
Yeah, it's very interesting. One of my best friends is Andy Warhol's nephew, Donald, and he runs the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh.
Mm.
And when you look at there's a great story about this, is that, you know, Andy was raised by Donald's dad, John, because their dad passed away. And Donald said that he remembers being like in college, and then Andy called his dad and he said, hey guys, rent a truck. I got these giant canvases. Come up to New York and just load the truck up with it and take it home. Put them all in your house. And Donald's dad said, I can't get the week off work, Andy. I'll have to come some other time during the year. Because his dad was, you know, an old school kind of Depression Pittsburgher, Depression era, not depressed, but
yeah,
he was a satellite TV installer for Sears, and he didn't take the week off. And Donald told me, he's like, if my dad would have went up there, we would be sitting on $100 million right now.
Jeez.
He said it's crazy, dude. He's like, literally $100 million I would have in my house, you know, if we would have just took what Uncle Andy was trying to give us all the time. But yeah, he said when he died, he had tons of stuff in the warehouse, and he said that most of it was stolen, and that he sees it resold now on the market. But a lot of the people who were actually close, friends or associates or that had stolen it because he died unexpectedly.
Wow.
Donald told me that he worked like 18 hours a day. He said that's all he did. He said, as I said, how often did Andy come back to Pittsburgh? And he said, never. He was just in New York working 24 hours a day. Looks so cool.
Oops, wrong one. I'll do this one.
I'm not a big fan of Jeff Koons, to be honest with you. I think it's
Who?
very different than Warhol historically.
Oh.
Jeff Koons, who does like these installation art for the most part, is bad.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Installation art is mostly like city council people, like getting a buddy that they know to put something in. I don't really know. I rarely see great installation art. Chicago has great installation art. Not saying great artistically, but fits in the city. Like those, you ever seen those light up kind of cubes with like kids' faces on it and stuff by the pool, by the water?
Yeah.
It's awesome in person. Well, it's a great debate on what is art. Like Jeff Koons has like an entire crew of, I don't know how many people working full time to make his, you know, I want to make a balloon stuffed animal in the middle of Fifth Avenue. I got this commission.
Yeah.
Is it art? I mean, he didn't do it, or is that like a movie with directed? Is it? I don't, you know, you could sit and debate it for 20 years. I don't know if you're ever going to get to the bottom of it.
Well, it's like Sistine Chapel. I mean, Michelangelo didn't paint most of it. He had his guys.
Yeah, great point.
He has guys paint it, and like, or it's like Marcel Duchamp's urinal, or where he wrote like R. Mutt on the urinal.
Yes.
And they put it in a museum.
Yes. Yeah, it's very interesting. Well, it's like, who were you just mentioning? Oh, Michelangelo. It's like, how many times has the Sistine Chapel been like redone or touched up?
Yeah.
You ever watch videos on art restoration?
Yeah.
Like people retouching art? I mean, it's like, is that the choice the painter made? I don't know.
And then there's the ones where like the people totally botch it, like those pictures. You ever seen those pictures of like a Jesus or something, and it was like a Jesus painting, and then like someone puts it and it's like a third grader wrote, or like when the goatee of Tutankhamun's sarcophagus broke off, like,
oh dude, what happened?
The janitor was like sweeping or mopping that area or whatever, and somehow broke off the goatee of the Tutankhamun sarcophagus, and just the janitor was so afraid that he repaired it. The janitor repaired the Tutankhamun thing, and he like literally like got 2-part epoxy just put the goatee back
kidding?
on. And like, obviously that's obviously not what you want to do for something that's that old. Let me see.
Oh my God, dude, was this like was it in England or is it in Egypt?
How do you spell Tutankhamun? I have no idea. Let me see.
Dude, that's so funny. I never knew
Egyptian,
that.
and you like see a picture of the thing afterwards. And it's like, holy moly, a third grader repaired this.
Did they professionally restore it after?
I don't know, because he put 2-part epoxy, like a thing that's like you can't break unless you like take an angle grinder to it.
You know what's funny about that is Salvador Dali painted a portrait of my friend's dad, Luis Buñuel.
Yeah.
And they grew up with this painting in his house, the Salvador Dali painting in his house. And then one day him and his brother were horsing around and they opened the door and put like a hole in the painting. And so he told me that every exhibition of the painting is fake because he knows where the repair mark was and it was repaired poorly.
Oh, so it's King.
So he said that, most museum stuff's fake.
It was King Tut. So like, look at this right here. Let me find a picture of it. Like, look at this picture right here. Let's see if I can get a good picture
Little
of it.
beeswax.
So like, this is the goatee, and it's so like broke off right here. And then here's the picture of, see right there, the epoxy.
Where was this though?
Wherever this, I'm sure. Yeah, he allegedly tried fixing the teen cut himself using epoxy. The museum workers then scratched the priceless artifact. You can see all the scratches right there.
Oh my God.
He scratched the artifact when they used a spatula to try to remove the epoxy that had dripped
Wait, why
onto
a spatula though?
Because that's what that janitor had in his little cart.
This is like a real crazy repair.
No, this repair is like, oh crap! I'm gonna get fired from my job in the morning, so I gotta repair this before mom and dad come home.
Do you think he still works there?
I can't imagine.
You know what? He'll probably set up a GoFundMe account.
All right, so
look up GoFundMe King Tut.
Do we want to put this? What do we put under this? Brad Fulton or Fulton's clip joint? What do we put under here? You said you want to put something.
Brad Fulton.
You did your whole name? I think your whole name should be on there. Brad Samuel Fulton.
Yeah.
Or Brad
Do it.
S. Fulton.
Yeah, Brad. That is so funny.
Is it Bradley?
That is so cool, dude. I love that. That's a great freaking card, man.
Is it Bradley?
No, just Brad.
Brad Samuel. Is it EL?
Looks so good.
Let me just get a different font here. I want to get like an old.
How many fonts do you have?
I mean, a lot. Brad.
Looks so good, Jackson.
Brad Samuel Fulton the
Yeah,
third.
that totally looks like it was
Esquire.
done.
I love this font. I use this font a lot. It's got a weird name, but it's like an old sign painter's font. It's called Egyptian Painters.
Dude, it looks good.
I use it for like the Tigers, but it's got that kind of like a little off kilter, but let me just spread this out a little bit. Oops.
Dude, it looks good, Jackson.
Dude, this is a great card.
Well, it's funny. Like I was going through like this old Ace Fulton's like file. Dan Phillips has like these. His old files were real sloppy. His new files were real organized. But I was just going through it, and there was this font that he did Ace Fulton's in, and I'm like, dude, what is that? And he's like, oh, it started out as a sign painter's font, but I don't know. Like I modified edges, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, where's the complete font? He's like, I don't know. I don't have it. I don't have the computer anymore.
Mm.
You know, it's like sometimes you see like a font or like a modified font or a custom font, and like you just can't recreate it again. Well, Jackson Robinson can create it again because he's limitless. He's a no-limit soldier.
No limit.
You know, back to like how crazy a subscription card deck idea is. There was an advertisement in Esquire magazine in like 1997. I was like in college and I saw this, and it had a picture of like a cup of coffee, and it had a napkin on it, and it said like 50 cents, and then it was crossed out, and it said like $3. And it said genius idea.
Yeah, totally.
And it was like the power of marketing.
Well, that's basically the entire Macintosh empire.
Well, I don't know about that one, but I know that about coffee.
Yeah, this looks good. This looks real good.
It's so awesome, dude. Are we done?
I think we're done. Let me just put this card.
We're done.
Let me just put this card.
We just gotta.
I gotta finish the tuck case.
Tuck is freaking good. Now it like matches.
Just make sure that this is all where I want it to be. It's my master. Yeah, there's the jokers.
What do you think of the file submission process at USPCC? Like doing it in one thing?
What do you mean one thing?
Like, you know, layers.
Oh,
like
yeah,
just
this
all one file, but not layer on top of layer.
Yeah, that's what I do every time. That's what we're gonna do.
No, I know,
this.
I know, but I'm saying, what do you think of the format?
I love it. It's easy for me.
Yeah, it's good. I like clicking on and off the stuff.
It's way easier. I mean, I do the same thing with Illustrator too. If I have a deck that's in Illustrator.
Dude, I love that color. Do you use Pantone books, Jackson?
Uh-huh.
How many do you have?
I have two. I have one here and one at the office.
What do you use? Like the coated bridge?
I use the Pantone process coated, and then the metallic book. But I don't use it. You
have to have a metallic book.
But I don't use it much because I don't do much spots colors very much.
You don't?
No, I mean everything I'm doing is CMYK. This is CMYK.
The funniest thing about Pantone books is when you pull one out and it says replace every 12 to 18 months because the colors won't be accurate.
Yep.
Now, what do you think? Is that because they want you to buy another one, or is it because
I think it's half because they want you to buy another one, but it's also half because like I mean, a lot of people will like just leave that on their desk or like in a windowsill or something, and
oh yes,
and the colors will fade. And that's true.
I keep it in the box, like in a drawer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not replacing it ever.
Yeah. But the bad thing is they keep updating it and adding colors.
Yes.
And so they want you to rebuy it because you have to like register it. Like in Photoshop, if I want to open up, like if I go to, swatches, and then I go to open up a library. So let me see here. This is all new.
Dude, like sometimes like I'll be like typing in like 2354C and it just won't come up my library.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that's a new one that they've added that you have to register your book with to be able to download the library into Photoshop.
I know, it's so ridiculous, dude. And it's like, so I just put in the hex color.
Yeah. I just pick the color I want and CMYK and hope for the best.
Oh, that's good, man.
But I do know, I know which colors have a hard time reproducing, like reds and greens are the ones that you really have to watch out for. But everything else is pretty. I mean, blues sometimes, if they've got a lot of red in it, they can go a lot more purple than what you're looking at. But
oh, totally.
Dude, this is a great card. Look at this guy. I'm gonna put a print of this on my window.
Fly thing. I'm much happier with it.
Look at that head of hair. Mm.
I want to run my hands through that deck. I'm going to just take that card out. You're going to come to my house and you're going to be like, can I see the clip joint on the coffee table? And you're going to look and this card's going to be like rubbed through like a hole. And you're going to be like, dude, what's wrong? Do you have rats here? And I'm like, no, I'm just running my fingers through my hair, Jackson.
No, you're going to come here because you're going to move to Tennessee.
Oh, absolutely. And then we're going to do our podcast every day with a cup of whiskey at 3 a.m. instead of 10 a.m.
Yes.
Can you imagine us, dude, like in an office together? That would be just like the greatest thing ever.
It would be pretty sweet. It would be pretty sweet.
This is done, man. I mean, it's a wrap. I mean, the box is it.
Well, I'll put everything together. I'll put everything together and send it to you so you can open up and look at it. And then
please, just so I can run my fingers through the hair. I don't really care about the rest of it.
But the good thing is if we feel like it's finished, we can go ahead and send all the stuff to United States Playing Card Company because we don't have to wait on the tuck cases for them to start printing it.
Let's do it, man. Send it over. I'll look at it, and I've never been more stoked in my life.
Nice.
I love this idea, man. I really thank you.
Yeah, I've had fun too, even though it takes me a long time to do anything.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go have some coffee upstairs with my wife.
That was a wrap. Everybody, thanks for watching us. And then, see, the sad thing is that Jackson, like now that we're not doing, a deck together officially right now. Well, we are, but we're not. But can I please just come on like with your decks and just BS with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Like do like play-by-play commentary when you're in the zone, like and you have your music on. Can I just do like commentary, like football commentary?
I like it.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. This is honestly, Jackson, I can't thank you enough. It's amazing.
Well, you're welcome. All right, man. Well, have a
wonderful.
wonderful.
Time that we've had swearing on a morning thing, and it wasn't me actually.
I apologize for that.
Don't apologize to me. You do what you want. It's your show.
Yeah.
Swear if you want.
Liberty.
Look at that guy there.
All right, man. Have a good
I love
day.
his hair. Bye, guys. Thank you, Jackson. Take care.